Okay, yeah, it's working, it's working. Okay, good, good, good. Hey, yo, it's unfortunately it's the last spooky reading stream of October. But it's nice nice to be here. I really enjoyed doing these. I might make a little bit. Nah, I'll stay small. Yeah, I really enjoyed reading these. It was a lot of fun. I'll be sure to do some reading streams. I just don't know when. It's not going to be as frequent. My stream schedule isn't going to be as frequent as it was this month. I know it's not over. We still have a lot of things planned. But it's getting there. And can I say I'm a bit impressed with myself. yeah. That I didn't know I was able to do it. Also, I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it later. Probably the last day. That would make more sense. Never mind. Forget about it. Erase it from your head right now. Anyway, hey yo. Yeah, I put my schedule on 7 p.m. but when I get home, I like need time to eat. So I'm probably just gonna push it back to 8 p.m. regularly next week. 7 p.m. is kind of not feasible for me, and I realized that. I try to push it up a little earlier because you know, my sleep schedule. But I just need to keep an eye on it, and yeah, it's not horrible. I'm not deprived of sleep or anything. I was just, you know, I like adjusting things and seeing what works and what doesn't. Trial and error. Yeah. Anyway. We're reading Edgar Allan Poe stories today. Hey yo, Porsche! Last reading stream. Don't cry. Well, no, not last ever. I'm sure I'll do it some other times. But the last spooky one of the month. Yeah. So yeah, I kind of had a tradition since I was a pup of reading Edgar Allan Poe stories, so it just seems fitting to end with that. There are a lot of horror stories out there. There's a lot of horror books that are like were recommended. I had a huge list of them. I didn't even get to them. So next month, look forward to some more, and there probably will be. I think this month we trekked a lot that are somewhat familiar, and next October, I think we'll trek into stuff that isn't so familiar. Yeah. I'm very excited about that. But I'm also excited to revisit these familiar ones. So let's get started. Edgar Allan Poe. Okay. The first one we're starting off with is The Mask of the Red Death. All right, I got my water ready. I'm ready. Let's dive into it. No silly business here. The Red Death had long been feeding on the country. No sickness has ever been so deadly, so great a killer, or so fearful to see. Blood was its mark, the redness and the horror of blood. There were sharp pains, and a sudden feeling that the mind was rushing in circles inside the head. Then there was bleeding through the skin, though it was not cut or broken. And then death. The bright red spots upon the body, and especially upon the face of the sick man, made the other men turn away from him, afraid to try to help. And the sickness lasted, from the beginning to the end, no more than half an hour. Oh yeah? Okay. I really that. Thank you for reminding me. Damn, okay. So this one, I thought it was pretty fitting. This music is called Her Back View. I thought it was very in tune with that Edgar Allan Poe's kind of stuff. And he's been providing a lot of our stuff. Yukari Noti. They have a bunch of Halloween BGMs. It's really cool. And they're still making more. Which is great. I think they're making volume 4. They said it's coming soon. They have a lot of great Halloween tracks. It's a nice spooky ambiance. I really like it. All right, let's continue. We love Po. We love Po. A little more. A little more. Okay. But Prospero, the ruler of the land, was happy and strong and wise. When half the people of his land had died, he called to him 1,000 healthy, happy friends, and with them went far away to live in one of his palaces. 1,000? Damn, good for you. In this economy? There was a large and beautiful stone building he had planned himself. A strong, high wall circled it. This wall had gates of iron. The gentlemen, after they had entered, brought fire to heat the iron of the gates, to make them close so firmly that nobody could open them. Here, they could forget the sickness, the Red Death. They would leave the outside world to care for itself. Prospero had supplied everything they needed for pleasure. There was music, there was dancing, there was beauty, there was food to eat and wine to drink. All these were within the wall, and within the wall, they would be safe. Outside the wall walked the Red Death. It was near the end of their 5th month there that Prospero asked his friends all to come together for a dancing party, a masquerade. Everybody was asked to come dressed in fine clothes and with his eyes, or perhaps his whole face, covered by a cloth mask. It was a scene of great richness, that masquerade. There were 7 rooms in which Prospero's friends danced. In many old palaces, the doors can be opened in such a way that the rooms, like these 7, can be seen all at the same time. In this place, it was different. Little more than one of them could be seen at one time. There was a turn every 20 or 30 yards to the right and left. In the middle of each wall was a tall, pointed window. The windows were colored glass, of the same color that was used in each room. The first room had blue cloth hangings on the wall, and blue were its windows. The second room had walls hanging of that blue-red known as purple. Okay. I mean, you're right. I just never heard it as that blue-red known as purple. And here, the windows were purple. The third was green, and so was the glass of the windows. The fourth had hangings and windows of yellow, the fifth of white, the sixth of violet. I get it. Purple's a rich color. Purple, violet, kind of similar, but I get it. But the seventh room had hangings on the walls made of a rich soft cloth, which was black as night, and the floor too was covered with the same heavy black cloth. In this room, the color of the windows was not the same. It was red, a deep blood color. All the rooms were lighted through the outside windows. The resulting light was strange indeed, as it colored the shapes of the dancers, but the light that fell on the black hangings through the blood-colored glass was the most fearful of them all. It produced so wild a look on the faces of those who entered that there were a few of the dancers who dared to step within those dark walls. They're cowards. I would totally do that. You probably look sick as fuck. In this room stood a great clock of black wood. Gently, it marked the seconds as they passed, and when it was time to mark the hour, the clock spoke with a loud, clear voice, a deep tone, as beautiful as music, but so strange that the music and the dancing stopped, and the dancers stood still to listen. And then, after another 60 minutes, after another 3,600 seconds of time, of flying time, the clock struck again, and the dancers stopped as before. That's kind of nice. They get a little hour break, and then they just listen to the clock speak. That's not bad. Nevertheless, it was a happy and beautiful masquerade, and you may be sure that the clothes the dancers chose to wear, their costumes, were strange and wonderful. Yeah. An hour break isn't bad. Like when you're dancing, you're sweating it up. The dancers looks like the forms we might see in troubled dreams, and these, the dreams, danced softly through the rooms, taking the colors of the rooms as they moved. It did not seem that their footsteps followed the music, but that the music rose from their steps. But into the seventh room the dancers do not go, for the red light coming through the window and the blackness of the wall hangings make them afraid, and he who enters hears more deeply the striking of the great black clock. But the other rooms are crowded, and in them beats hotly the heart of life, and the dances go on until at last the clock begins to strike 12. Again the music stops. Again the dancers stood without moving, while the slow striking sound continued. Before the clock was quiet again, many in the crowd saw that in the first room, the blue room, there was a masquerader who had not been seen before. As they talked softly to each other about him, a feeling of surprise spread through all the dancers, then a feeling of fear and of sickening horror. In such a group as this, only a very strange masquerader could have caused such a feeling. Even among those who laugh at both life and death, edgy humor, some matters cannot be laughed at. Everyone seemed now deeply to feel that the stranger should not have been allowed to come among them dressed in such clothes. He was tall and very thin and covered from head to foot, like a dead man prepared for the grave. The mask which covered his face, or was it really a mask? The mask which covered his face was so much like the face of the dead man that the nearest eye could not see the difference. And yet, all this might have been acceptable, really. But the masquerader, whom nobody knew, had made himself look like the Red Death itself. His clothes were spotted with blood, and the mask over his face was covered with terrible red spots. Or perhaps it was indeed his face. When Prospero looked upon this fearful form, he was first filled with terror and then with anger. "Who dares?" he cried. "Take him, seize him, pull off his mask so that we may know who we must hang at sunrise." Yo, bro. Imagine being like the edgiest fucker in the room and then they like hang you for it. That's crazy. Bring it back. Not just kidding. But that's crazy. What the hell? Prospero stood in the blue rooms when he spoke these words. They sounded through the 7 rooms, loud and clear. At first, as he spoke, some of the dancers started to rush towards the stranger masquerader, but they stopped, afraid, and no one dared to put out a hand to touch him. The stranger started to walk towards the 2nd room. He passed within a few feet of Prospero. "Morning, Doomy! How are you?" Who stood still, surprised. And while the dancers moved back from the center of the room, the stranger moved quietly, without being stopped, with a slow and measured step. Through the blue room to the purple room, through the purple room to the green room, through the green to the yellow, through this to the white, and then to the violet room. As the stranger was entering the 7th room, Prospero suddenly and angrily rushed through the 6 rooms. "I'm having fun, I'm chilling, I'm reading Poe, Edgar Allan Poe, let's go. It's my final reading of the month." Don't cry, don't cry. No one dared to follow him. He held a sharp knife. Bro, that just... that's not even hanging anymore. You can't do that. Can you do that? I know. I know. I feel it too. He held a sharp knife high over his head, ready to strike the stranger. When he was within 3 or 4 feet of the stranger, masquerader, the stranger turned and stood silent, looking firmly into Prospero's eyes. There was a cry, and the knife dropped, shining upon the black floor, upon which a minute later Prospero himself fell dead. The dancers then rushed into the black room. The strongest of the men tried to hold the masquerader, whose tall form stood beside the black clock. But when they put their hands on him, they found inside the grave clothes no human form, no body, nothing. Now they knew that it was the Red Death itself that had come in that night. One by one the dancers fell, and each died as he fell, and the fires died, and the clock stopped, and the darkness and decay and the Red Death ruled forever over all. Yeah, yo, and now he's about to hang him. I don't know if he was allowed to. I guess I don't know the rules back then. He was in his own home, but I don't think he just stabbed people. I don't know. Who the fuck knows? All right. So the next one is called The Story of William, and then there's a false of that. Okay, we're gonna skip around. Let's do the short stories first and see how much time we have. I think we'll be good. Let's go to the black cat. Okay. Let's switch it around. There it is. The black cat. Okay. Tomorrow I die, and today I want to tell the world what happened, and thus perhaps free my soul from the horrible weight which lies upon it. But listen, and you shall hear how I have been destroyed. When I was a child, I had a natural goodness of soul, which led me to love animals, all kinds of animals, but especially those animals we call pets. Animals which have learned to live with men and share their homes with them. There's something in the love of these animals which speaks directly to the heart of the man who has learned from experience how uncertain and changeable is the love of other men. Wait. I think I know what he means, but that sentence confused me. But we'll move on. I was quite young when I married. You will understand the joy I had felt to find that my wife shared with me my love for animals. Quickly, she got for us several pets of the most likable kind. We had birds, some goldfish, a fine dog, and a cat. The cat was a beautiful animal of unusually large size and entirely black. I named that cat Pluto, and it was the pet I liked best. I alone fed it, and it followed me all around the house. It was even with difficulty that I stopped it from following me through the streets. Yeah. Our friendship lasted in this manner for several years, during which, however, my own character became greatly changed. I began to drink too much wine and other strong drinks. As the days passed, I became less loving in my manner. I became quick to anger. I had forgotten how to smile and laugh. My wife, yes, and my pets too, all except the cat, were made to feel the change in my character. One night, I came home quite late from the inn, where I now spent more and more time drinking. Walking with uncertain step, I made my way with effort into the house. As I entered, I saw, or thought I saw, that Pluto, the cat, was trying to stay out of my way to avoid me. This action by an animal which I had thought still loved me made me angry beyond reason. My soul seemed to fly from my body. I took a small, not a knife again. Okay, someone get these knives away from these people. This is like 90% of the issue. I took a small knife out of my coat and opened it. Then I took the poor animal by the neck, and with one quick movement, I cut out one of its fear-filled eyes. Okay, bro. Slowly, the cat got well. The hole where its eye had been was not a pretty thing to look at. It is true, but the cat no longer appeared to suffer any pain. As might be expected, however, it ran from me in fear whenever I came near. Why should it not run? Yet this did not fail to anger me. I felt growing inside myself a new feeling. Who has not, 100 times, found himself doing wrong, doing some evil thing for no other reason than because he knows he should not? Are not we humans at all times pushed, ever driven in some unknown way to break the law just because we understand it to be the law? Wait, let me put animal abuse just in case. Wait. Listen! I haven't read these in forever. My bad. Sorry, cat lovers. One day, in cold blood, I tied a strong rope around the cat's neck. Okay, I put that warning on time. And taking it down to the cellar under the house, I hung it up from one of the wood beams above my head. I hung it there until it was dead. I hung it there with tears in my eyes. I hung it because I knew it had loved me, because I felt it had given me no reason to hurt it, because I knew that my doing was so wrong, so great a sin, so deadly that it would place my soul forever outside the reach of the love of God. Same night as I lay sleeping, I heard through my open window the cries of our neighbors. I jumped from my bed and found that the entire house was filled with fire. It was only with great difficulty that my wife and I escaped. How does the wife feel about what you did, bro? And when we were out of the house, all we could do was stand and watch it burn to the ground. I thought of the cat as I watched it burn, the cat whose dead body I had left hanging in the cellar. It seemed almost that the cat had in some mysterious way caused the house to burn so that it could make me pay for my evil act, so that it could take revenge upon me. Months went by, and I could not drive the thought of the cat out of my mind. One night I sat at the inn, drinking as usual. In the corner I saw a dark object that I have not seen before. I went over to see what it could be. It was a cat almost exactly like Pluto. I touched it with my hand and petted it, passing my hand softly along its back. The cat rose and pushed its back against my hand. Suddenly, I realized, that I wanted the cat. No more cats for you, no. I offered to buy it from the innkeeper, but he claimed he had never seen the animal before. No, take that cat away from him. As I left the inn, it followed me, and I allowed it to do so. It soon became a pet of both my wife and myself. Wait, what happened to your dogs and birds and goldfish? I thought your wife left you. The pets hated him getting drunk. I get that. But where are they? ¿Dónde están? The morning after I brought it home, however, I discovered that this cat, like Pluto, only had one eye. Oh, okay. How was it possible that I had not noticed this the night before? This fact only made my wife love the cat more, but I myself found a feeling of dislike growing in me. My growing dislike of the animal only seemed to increase its love for me. It followed me everywhere, always. When I sat, it laid down under my chair. When I stood up, it got between my feet and nearly made me fall over. Wherever I went, it was always there. At night, I dreamed of it, and I began to hate that cat. One day, my wife called to me from the cellar of the old building where we were now forced to live. As I went down the stairs, the cat, following me as always, ran under my feet and nearly threw me down. In sudden anger, I took a knife. Stop! Fuck, someone take this knife from this man! And struck wildly at the cat. Quickly, my wife put out her hand and stopped my arm. This only increased my anger, and without thinking, I turned and put the knife point deep into her heart. She fell to the floor and died without a sound. What happened to me? My bad. I'm not trying to do that. Fuck! Shit. Okay. What happened? How did I do that? Oh well, whatever. We're moving on. The wife died. Oh, my bad. I spent a few moments looking for the cat, but it was gone, and I had other things to do, for I knew I must do something with the body, and quickly. Suddenly, I noted a place in the wall of the cellar where the stones had been added to the wall to cover an old fireplace, which was no longer wanted. The walls were not very strongly built, and I found I could easily take down those walls. Behind them, there was, as I knew there must be, where was it? A hole just big enough to hold the body. With much effort, I put the body in carefully and carefully put the stones back into their place. I was pleased to see that it was quite impossible for anyone to know that a single stone had been moved. Days passed. Still, there was no cat. A few people came and asked about my wife, but I answered them easily. Then one day, several officers of the police came. Certain that they could find nothing, I asked them in and went with them as they searched. Finally, they searched the cellar from end to end. I watched them quietly, and as I expected, they noticed nothing. But as they started up the stairs again, I felt myself driven by some unknown inner force to let them know, to make them know that I had won the battle. "The walls of this building," I said, "are very strongly built. It is a fine old house." And as I spoke, I struck with my stick that very place in the wall behind which was the body of my wife. This guy is so fucked. Immediately, I felt a cold feeling up and down my back as we heard coming out of the wall itself a horrible cry. For one short moment, the officers stood looking at each other. Bro trolled himself. This is his own fault. Then quickly, they began to pick up the stones, and in a short time, they saw before them the body of my wife, black with dried blood and smelling of decay. On the body's head, its one eye filled with fire, its wide open mouth the color of blood, sat the cat, crying out its revenge. Yeah, you remember it? It's a good story. It's a good story. I can't believe I was emoting. I did not mean to emote. Okay. Let's see. Next, let's do the cask of Amontildo. I don't know how to say it. I'll be honest. Okay, that should be 74 maybe. No. Oh yeah, I got it. Okay. Wait, how do you fucking pronounce this? Amontillado? Oh, it's a wine? Pff, I've never drank that. Can't speak? What do you mean can't speak? Okay, I'm gonna hear it. Amontillado? Is that really how it is? There's only an American and a British pronunciation. I'm gonna do it in Spanish, whatever. Amontillado, okay? That's what it is now. That's what it is. That's what you're stuck with. Okay, let me drink water. That was fun. I know. Why am I reading stories when I can't pronounce certain things? Because I like to. Fortunato had hurt me 1,000 times, and I had suffered quietly. But then I learned that he had laughed at my proud name, Montresor, the name of an old and honored family. I promised myself that I would make him pay for this, that I would have revenge. You must not suppose, however, that I spoke of this to anyone. Good. I would make him pay, yes, but I would act only with the greatest care. I must not suffer as a result of taking my revenge. A wrong is not made right in that manner. And also, the wrong would not be made right unless Fortunato knew that he was paying and knew who was forcing him to pay. I gave Fortunato no cause to doubt me. I continued to smile in his face, and he did not understand that I was now smiling at the thought of what I had planned for him, at the thought of my revenge. Fortunato was a strong man, a man to be feared, but he had one great weakness. He liked to drink good wine, and indeed he drank much of it. So he knew a lot about fine wines and proudly believed that he was a trained judge of them. I too knew old wines well, and I bought the best that I could find. And wine, I thought, wine would give me my revenge. It was almost dark one evening in the spring when I met Fortunato in the street alone. He spoke to me more warmly than was usual, for already he had drunk more wine than was good for him. I acted pleased to see him, and I shook his hand as if he had been my closest friend. Fortunato, how are you? Montresor. Good evening, my friend. My dear Fortunato, I am indeed glad that I have met you. I was thinking of you, for which I have been tasting my new wine. I have bought a full cask of a fine wine, which they tell me is Amontillado. But Amontillado? Quite impossible. I know. It does not seem possible. As I could not find you, I was just going to talk to Luke. Another name! What? Wait. Let me look it up. I'm actually curious about how he pronounces. How do you pronounce that? Stop. Lucchesi. Oh, I was about to say Lucchesi. There you go. Lucchesi. As I could not find you, I was just going to talk to Lucrezi. If anyone understands wine, it is Lucrezi. He will tell me, Lucrezi? He does not know one wine from another. But they say he knows as much about wines as you know. Oh, come, let us go. Go where? To your vaults, to taste the wine. No, my friend, no. I can see that you are not well, and the vaults are cold and wet. I do not care. Let us go. I'm well enough. The cold is nothing. Amontillado. Someone is playing games with you. And Lucrezi. Ha! Lucrezi. Yeah. Lucrezi knows nothing about wines. Nothing at all. As he spoke, Fortunato took my arm and I allowed him to hurry me to my great stone palace where my family, the Montresors, Montresor. I'll just stay with the Spanish accent. Stick with it. Had lived for centuries. There was no one at home. I told the servants that they must not leave the palace, as I would not return until the following morning, and they must care for the place. This, I knew, was enough to make certain that they would all leave as soon as my back was turned. What kind of servants do you have? Hold on. You told them that they must not leave the palace. Okay. I get it. He's like a parrot. That's hilarious. I knew my servants would take a break, the opportunity that they could take. I took down from their place on the wall 2 brightly burning lights. I still don't understand why he couldn't just dismiss them. Is that okay? I guess it would be suspicious. Okay. I got you. This guy thought of everything. Okay. I'm not giving him enough credit. Okay. I see your vision, man. I gave one of these to Fortunato and led him to a wide doorway. There we could see the stone steps going down into the darkness. Asking him to be careful as he followed, I went down before him, down under the ground, deep under the old walls of my palace. We came finally to the bottom of the steps and stood there a moment together. The earth which formed from the floor was cold and hard. We were entering the last resting place of the dead, the Montresor family. Here too we kept our finest wines, here in the cool, dark, still air under the ground. Fortunato's step was not sure because of the wine he had been drinking. He looked uncertainly around him, trying to see through the thick darkness which pushed around us. Here our brightly burning lights seemed weak indeed, but our eyes soon became used to the darkness. We could see the bone of the dead lying in large piles all along the walls. The stones of the walls were wet and cold. From the long rows of bottles which were laying on the floor among the bones, I chose one which contained a very good wine. Since I did not have anything to open the bottle with, I struck the stone wall with it and broke off the small end. I offered the bottle to Fortunato. Here, Fortunato, drink some of this fine medoc. It will help to keep us warm. Drink. Thank you, my friend. I drink to the dead who lie sleeping around us. And I, Fortunato, I drink to your long life. This guy's teasing now. that's messed up. Oh, a very fine wine indeed. But the Amontillado. It is farther on. Come. We walked on for some time. We were now under the river's bed, and water fell in drops upon us from above. Deeper into the ground we went, past still more bones. Your vaults are many and large. There seem to be no end to them. We are a great family and an old one. It is not far now, but I can see you are trembling with cold. Come, let us go back before it's too late. It is nothing. Let us go on. But first, another drink of your medoc. I took up from among the bones another bottle. It was another wine of fine quality. A derailed. I don't know wines, guys. Stop making me pronounce wines. Stop it. Stop it. I'm trying to enjoy the story. Stop it. A what? A what? The grave. Okay, okay. I'm losing it. Alright. Well, that's what you got. That's what you got. That's what you got. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where did I... Wait. Okay, I found it. Yeah. I didn't know how many wines there were. I took up from among the bones another bottle. It was another wine of fine quality, a derailed. Again, I broke off the neck of the bottle. Fortunato took it and drank it all without stopping for a breath. He laughed and threw the empty bottle over his shoulder. We went on deeper and deeper into the earth. Finally, we arrived at a vault in which the air was so old and heavy that our lights almost died. Dang, on impact? That's crazy. Me, I'd say see you later. Against 3 of the walls, there were piles of bones higher than our heads. From the 4th wall, someone had pulled down all the bones, and they were all spread all around us on the ground. In the middle of the wall was an opening into another vault, if I can call it that. A little room about 3 feet wide, 6 or 7 feet high, and perhaps 4 feet deep. It was hardly more than a hole in the wall. Dewey, stop. That's a good one. That's a really good one. Oh, I like that one. Oh, that was perfect. Oh, congrats. I love that. Go on, I said. Go in. The Amontillado is in there. Fortunato continued to go forward, uncertainly. I followed him immediately. Soon, of course, he reached the back wall. He stood there a moment, facing the wall, surprised and wondering. In that wall were two heavy iron rings. A short chain was hanging from one of those, and a lock from the other. Before Fortunato could guess what was happening to him, I closed the lock and chained him tightly to the wall. I stepped back. Fortunato, I said, put your hands against the wall. You must feel how the water runs over it. Once more I ask you, please, will you not go back? No. If not, then I must leave you. But first, I must do everything I can for you. But what? The Amontillado? Ah, yes, indeed, the Amontillado. As soon as I spoke those words, I began to search among the bones. Throwing them to one side, I found the stones which earlier I had taken down from the wall. Quickly, I began to build the wall again, covering the hole where Fortunato stood trembling. Montresor, what are you doing? I continued working. I could hear him pulling at the chain, shaking it wildly. Only a few stones remained to put in their place. Montresor, this is a very good joke indeed. Many times will we laugh about it. As we drink our wine together. Of course, as we drink the Amontillado. But is it not late? Should we not go back, be going back? They will be expecting us. Let us go. Yes, let us go. As I said this, I lifted the last stone from the ground. Montresor, for the love of God! Yes, for the love of God. I heard no answer. Fortunato, I cried. Fortunato! I heard only a soft, low sound, a half cry of fear. My heart grew sick. It must have been the cold. I hurried to force the last stone into its position, and I put the old bones again in a pile against the wall. For half a century now, no human hand has touched them. May he rest in peace. Listen, despite me not knowing pronunciations, it's a good-ass story. I couldn't skip it. I do like that story. But I just struggled a bit. But it was worth it. All right. This is the last of the short stories before we get into any of the part ones or whatever, part 2, part 3. Yeah, I think we're set for a good time right now. I think we're good. So the last one is the Telltale Heart. The last short story one, at least. Oh yeah, okay. There it is. Let me drink water. That was fun. The Telltale Heart. It's true. Yes, I have been ill. Very ill. But why do you say that I have lost control of my mind? Why do you say that I am mad? Thank you. Can you not see that I have full control of my mind? Is it not clear that I am not mad? Indeed, the illness only made my mind, my feelings, my senses stronger, more powerful. My sense of hearing especially became more powerful. I could hear sounds I had never heard before. I heard sounds from heaven, and I heard sounds from hell. Listen, and I will tell you how it happened. You will see, you will hear how healthy my mind is. It is impossible to say how the idea first entered my head. There was no reason for what I did. I did not hate the old man. I even loved him. He had never hurt me. I did not want his money. I think it was his eye. His eye was like that, the eye of a vulture, The eye of one of those terrible birds that watch and wait while an animal dies and then fall upon the dead body and pull it to pieces to eat it. When the old man looked at me with his vulture eyes, a cold feeling went up and down my back. Even my blood became cold. And so, I finally decided that I had to kill the old man and close that eye forever. So you think that I am mad? A madman cannot plan, but you should have seen me. During all of that week, I was as friendly to the old man as I could be, and warm and loving. Every night, about 12 o'clock. Ah, yeah. This is the one that was like told to me year after year. So I'm very familiar with this one. I slowly opened his door. And when the door had opened wide enough, I put my hand in, and then my head. In my hand, I held a light, covered over with a cloth so that no light showed. As I stood there, quietly, then carefully, I lifted the cloth, just a little, so that a single thin, small light fell across that eye. For 7 nights I did this, 7 long nights, every night at midnight. Always the eye was closed, so it was impossible for me to do the work. For it was not the old man I felt I had to kill, it was the eye, his evil eye. And every morning I went to his room, and with a warm and friendly voice, I asked him how he had slept. He could not guess that every night, just at 12, I looked in at him as he slept. Oh wait, let me put the warning away. There's no cat. The 8th night, I was more than usually careful. As I had opened the door. The hands of the clock moved more quickly than did my hand. Never before had I felt so strongly my own power. I was now sure of success. The old man was lying there, not dreaming that I was at his door. Suddenly, he moved into his bed. You may think I became afraid, but no. The darkness in his room was thick and black. I knew he could not see the opening of the door. I continued to push the door, slowly, softly. I put in my head. I put in my hand with the covered light. Suddenly, the old man sat up straight in bed and cried, "Who's there?" I stood quite still. For a whole hour, I did not move. Nor did I hear him again lie down in his bed. He just sat there, listening. Then I heard a sound, a low cry of fear which escaped from the old man. Now I knew that he was sitting up on his bed, filled with fear. I knew that he knew that I was there. He did not see me there. He could not hear me there. He felt me there. Now he knew that death was standing there. Slowly, little by little, I lifted the cloth until a small light escaped from under it to fall open. To fall upon that vulture eye. It was open, wide open, and my anger increased as it looked straight at me. I could not see the old man's face, only that eye, that hard blue eye, and the blood in my body became like ice. Have I not told you that my hearing had become unusually strong? Now I could hear a quick, low, soft sound, like the sound of a clock heard through a wall. It was beating, the beating of the old man's heart. I tried to stand quietly, but the sound grew louder. The old man's fear must have been great indeed. And as the sound grew louder, my anger became greater and more painful. But it was more than anger. In that quiet night, in the dark silence of the bedroom, my anger became fear, for the heart was beating so loudly that I was sure someone must hear. The time had come. I rushed into the room crying, "Die! Die!" The old man gave a loud cry of fear as I fell upon him and held the bed covers tightly over his head. Still his heart was beating, but I smiled as I felt the success was near. For many minutes that heart continued to beat, but at last the beating stopped. The old man was dead. I took away the bed covers and held my ear over his heart. There was no sound. Yes, he was dead, dead as a stone. His eye would trouble me no more. So I am mad, you say? You should have seen how careful I was to put the body where no one could find it. First, I cut off the head, then the arms and the legs. I was careful not to let a single drop of blood fall on the floor. I pulled up 3 of the boards that had formed the floor and put the pieces of the body there. Then I put the boards down again, carefully, so carefully that no human eye could see that they had been moved. As I finished this work, I heard that someone was at the door. It was now 4 o'clock in the morning, but still dark. I had no fear, however, as I went down to open the door. 3 men were at the door, 3 officers of the police. One of the neighbors had heard the old man cry and had called the police. These 3 had come to ask questions and to search the house. I asked the policeman to come in. The cry, I said, was my own in a dream. The old man, I said, was away. He had gone to visit a friend in the country. I took them through the whole house, telling them to search it all, to search well. I led them finally into the old man's bedroom. As if playing a game with them, I asked them to sit down and talk for a while. These guys keep getting caught because they're so fucking smug. Just take the W before it turns into an L. This is your problem. This is your fault. My easy, quiet manner made the police believe my story, so they sat talking with me in a friendly way. But although I answered them in the same way, I soon wished that they would go. My head hurt, and there was a strange sound in my ears. I talked more and faster. The sound became clearer, and still they sat and talked. Suddenly, I knew that the sound was not in my ears. It was not just inside my head. At that moment, I must have become quite white. I talked still, faster and louder, and the sound too became louder. It was a quick, low, soft sound, like the sound of a clock heard through a wall, a sound I knew well. Louder it became and louder. Why did the men not go? Louder, louder. I stood up and walked quickly around the room. I pushed my chair across the floor to make more noise, to cover that terrible sound. I talked even louder, and still the men sat and talked and smiled. Was it possible that they could not hear? No! They heard! I was certain of it. They knew. Now it was they who were playing a game with me. I was suffering more than I could bear from their smile and from that sound. Louder, louder, louder. Suddenly I could bear it no longer. I pointed at the boards and cried, "Yes! Yes, I killed him. Pull up the boards and you shall see. I killed him. But why does his heart not stop beating? Why does it not stop?" What are they thinking while he's speaking louder and faster? I'm like, what is wrong with this guy? They were probably messing with him a little. I think they were messing with him a little. All right. Let's move on. Okay. Oof. What do we do? There's some more stories. There's some more stories. It's okay. It's because he got sick. Let's see. Let's read the story of William Wilson. Okay. Yeah, that's next. This is in 4 parts. Shit, can we actually get through everything? Wait, what time is it? Yeah, we're good. We're good on time. Let me call myself, for the present, William Wilson. That is not my real name. That name had already been the cause of the horror, of the anger of my family. Have not the winds carried my name with my loss of honor to the ends of earth? Am I not forever dead to the world? Ayo, Stardust Fairy, how are you? Yeah, it's the last spooky reading stream of the month of October. How are you? I'm fine. I'm doing great. I love me some Edgar Allan Poe. All right. To its honors, to its flowers, to its golden hopes. And a cloud heavy and endless does it not hang forever between my hopes and heaven? Yay! I'm glad you're happy to. I'm glad you're doing good. Yeah, feel free to lurk. I feel like I'm a good lurking streamer in general. Like, I'm very good to put in the background. Not that I'm saying you shouldn't pay attention. You can pay attention freely. I'm just saying I feel like, I don't know, my voice doesn't go too high. Whatever. That's another thing. I don't get like super loud is what I'm saying. Because I know sometimes, sorry, off track. Sometimes I put on a VTuber I like while I'm working and then they scream and I'm like, okay, hold on, I'm at work. And then I have to put the volume down. But whatever. I digress. Whatever. Anyway, let's get to it. Men usually become bad by degrees, but I let all goodness fall from me in a single moment, as if I had dropped a coat. From small acts of darkness I passed in one great step into the blackest evil ever known. Thank you, thanks. Yeah. I was trying not to construe what I was saying. You got me. Thank you. That's what I meant. Thank you. Listen, while I tell of the one cause that made this happen. Death is near, and its coming has softened my spirit. I desire, in passing through this dark valley, the understanding of other men. I wish them to believe that I have been, in some ways, in the power of forces beyond human control. I wish them to find for me, in the story I am about to tell, some small fact that proves I could have done only what I did. I would have them agree that what happened to me never happened to other men. Is it not true that no one has ever suffered as I do? Have I not indeed been living in a dream? And am I not now dying from the horror and the unanswered question, the mystery of the wildest dream ever dreamed on earth? I am one of a family well known from their busy minds. As a small child, I showed clearly that I too had the family character. As I became older, it grew more powerful in me. For many reasons, it became a cause of talk among friends, and the hurt it did me was great. I wanted people always to do things my way. I acted like a wild fool. I let my desires control me. My father and mother, weak in body and mind, could do little to hold me back. When their efforts failed, of course, my will grew stronger. From then on, my voice in the house was law. At an age when few children are allowed to be free, I was left to be guided by my own desires. I became the master of my own actions. I remember my first school. It was in a large house, about 300 years old, in a small town in England, among a great number of big trees. All of the houses there were very old. In truth, it was a dreamlike and spirit-quietening place, that old town. At this moment, I seemed to feel the pleasant coolness under the shade of the trees. I remember the sweetness of the flowers. I hear again with delight. I cannot explain the deep sound of the church bell, each hour breaking the stillness of the day. It gives me great pleasure to think about this school, as much pleasure, perhaps, as I am now able to experience. Deep in suffering, as I am, suffering only too real, perhaps, no one will object to it if for a short time I forget my troubles and tell a little about this period. The sentences in this one are killing me. Bro is talking to himself. Bro is rambling, but I think that's a protagonist, so it makes sense. Moreover, the period and place are important. It was then and there that I first saw hanging over me the terrible promise of things to come. Let me remember. The house where we boys lived and went to school was, as I have said, old and wide. The grounds about it were large, and there was a high wall around the outside of the whole school. Beyond this wall, we went 3 times in each week. On one day to take short walks into neighboring fields, and 2 times on Sunday to go to church. This was the one church in the village, and the head teacher of our school was also the head of the church. That is wild. With a spirit of deep wonder and of doubt, I used to watch him there, the man with slow step and quiet, thoughtful face, and clothes so different and shining clean. Could this be the same man who had with a hard face and see? Could this be the same man who with a hard face? Like, I would never write that. Jesus. Who with a hard face and clothes far from clean stood ready to strike us if we did not follow the rules of the school. Oh, great and terrible question, beyond my small power to answer. I well remembered our playground, which was behind the house. There were no trees and the ground was as hard as stone. In front of the house, there was a small garden, but we stepped into this garden only at very special times, such as when we first arrived at school, or when we left it for the last time, or perhaps when father or mother or a friend came to take us away for a few days. But the house, what a delightful old building it was, to me truly a palace. There was really no end to it. I was not always able to say certainly which of those its 2 floors I happened to be on. From each room to every other, there were always 3 or 4 steps either up or down. Then the rooms branched into each other, and these branches were too many to count, and often turned and came back upon themselves. Our ideas about the whole great house were not very far different from the thoughts we had about time without end. What? During the 5 years I was there, I could never have told anyone how to find the little room where I and some 18 or 20 other boys slept. Wow, that's a lot of boys. That must be a big room. The schoolroom was the largest room in the house, and I couldn't help thinking it was the largest in the world. It was long and low with pointed windows and heavy wood overhead. I hope so if it houses 18 or 20 boys. In the far corner was the office of our head teacher, Mr. Bransby. This office had a thick door, and we would rather have died than open it when he was not there. Inside the thick walls of this old school, I passed my years from 10 to 15, yet I always found it interesting. A child's mind does not need the outside world. In a quiet school, I found more bright pleasures than I found later as a young man in riches or as an older man in wrongdoing. Yet I must have been different indeed from most boys. Few men remember much of their early life. My early days stand out as clear and plain as if they had been cut in gold. In truth, the hotness of my character and my desire to lead and command soon separated me from the others. Slowly, I gained control over those who were not greatly older than myself, over all except one. This exception was a boy who, though not of my family, had the same name as my own, William Wilson. This boy was the only one who ever dared to say he did not believe all I told him and who would not follow my commands. This troubled me greatly. I tried to make the others think that I didn't care. The truth was that I felt afraid of him. I had to fight to appear equal with him, but he easily kept himself equal with me. Yet no one else felt, as I did, that this proved him the better of the two. Indeed, no one else saw the battle going on between us. All his attempts to stop me in what I wanted to do were made when no one else could see or hear us. He did not desire, as I did, to lead the other boys. He seemed only to want to hold me back, sometimes with wonder and always without pleasure. I saw that his manners seemed to show a kind of love for me. I did not feel thankful for this. I thought it meant only that he thought of himself to be very fine indeed, better than me. Perhaps it was this love he showed for me, added to the fact that we had the same name, and also that we had entered the school on the same day, which made people say that we were brothers. Brothers of the same name would be insane. Wilson did not belong to my family, even very distantly. But if we had been brothers, we would have been near to each other indeed, for I had learned that we were both born on the 19th of January, 1809. This seemed a strange and wonderful thing. Okay, that's part one. That's part one. Part two. In the first part of my story, I spoke about my life at my first school and about the other boys over whom I gained firm control. What does that mean? Like, I'm thinking a little army of kids. But there was one boy. Ain't no way he's recapping on the part two. But there was one boy who would not follow my commands, who would not do what I told him to, as the other boys did. His name was the same as mine, William Wilson. Although he did not belong to my family in any way. This is legit a recap. Stop. He seemed to feel some love for me and had entered the school the same days I had. Many of the boys thought we were brothers. I soon discovered that we were born on the same day, January 19th, 1809. Yeah, okay, thank you. Wilson continued his attempts to command me, while I continued my attempts to rule him. The strange thing is that, although I did not like him, I could not hate him. We had battled nearly every day, it is true. In public, it would seem that I had been proven stronger, but he seemed somehow able to make me feel like this was not true, and that he himself was stronger. Nevertheless, we continued to talk to each other in a more or less friendly way. On a number of subjects, we agreed very well. I sometimes thought that if we had met each at another time and place, we might have become friends. Maybe we didn't share the same name. I feel like you have like a dominance thing going on. It is not easy to explain my real feelings for him. There was no love and there was no fear, yet I saw something to honor in him, and I wanted to learn more about him. Anyone experienced in human nature will not need to be told that Wilson and I were always together. This strange appearance of friendship, although we were not friends, caused no doubt the strangeness of the battle between us. It's called rivals. It's called rivals. Stop. Your pretentious chatter, pretending it's something else. You guys are just rivals and you happen to have the same name. That's it. Chill out. This guy is so dramatic. I tried to make the others laugh at him. I tried to give him pain while seeming to play a light-hearted game. My attempts were not always successful, even though my plans were well made. There was much about his character that simply could not be laughed at. I could find, indeed, but one weakness. Perhaps he had been born with it, or perhaps it had come from some illness. No one but me would have made any use of it against him. He was only able to speak in a very, very soft, low voice. This weakness I never failed to use in any way that was in my power. That sounds nice. What are you making fun of? Wilson could fight back, and he did. There was one way he had of troubling me beyond measure. I had never liked my name. Too many other people had the same name. I can't stand this protagonist. This is so petty shit. What do you mean? I would rather have had that name. A name that was not so often heard. The word sickened me. When, on the day I had arrived at school, a second William Wilson came also, I felt angry with him for having the name. I knew I would have to hear the name each day a double number of times. Be so for real. Be so real with me right now. Be so real. I'm gonna kill you. The other William Wilson would always be near. The other boys often thought that my actions and my belongings were his and his were mine. My anger grew stronger with every happening that showed that William and Wilson and I were alike, in body or in mind. I had not then discovered the surprising fact that we were of the same age, but I saw that we were of the same height. You guys are in the same school. For real, for real. But you're in the same school, you're in the same class. I'm sorry to break it to you, a lot of your classmates are the same age as you. That's just... Why are you surprised at that? And I saw that in form and in face we were also much the same. Nothing could trouble me more deeply, although I had carefully tried to keep everyone from seeing it, than to hear anyone say anything about the likeness between us, of mind or of body or of anything else. But in truth, I had no reason to believe that this likeness was ever noticed by our schoolfellows. He saw it, and as clearly as I, that I knew well. He had discovered that in this likeness, he could always find a way of troubling me. This proved the more than usual sharpness of his mind. His method, which was to increase the likeness between us, lay both in words and in actions, and he followed his plan very well indeed. It was easy enough to have clothes like mine. He could easily learn to walk and move as I did. His voice, of course, could not be as loud as mine, but he made his manner of speaking the same. How greatly this most careful picture of myself troubled me, I will not now attempt to tell. It seemed that I was the only one who noticed it. I was the only one who saw Wilson's strange and knowing smiles. Bro, if you weren't bothered by it, he wouldn't he wouldn't do this. Pleased with having produced in my heart the desired result, he seemed to laugh within himself and cared nothing that no one laughed with him. Oh man. I have already spoken of how he seemed to think he was better and wiser than I. He would try to guide me. He would often try to stop me from doing things I had planned. He would tell me, okay, yeah. Remember in the beginning, he was a spoiled brat who didn't let his sick parents, like, try to parent. Okay. He would tell me what I should and should not do, and he would do this not openly, but in a word or two, in which I had to look for the meaning. As I grew older, I wanted less and less to listen to him. As it was, I could not be happy under his eyes. That always watched me. Every day I showed more and more openly that I did not want to listen to anything he told me. I have said that in the first years when we were in school together, my feelings might easily have been turned into friendship, but in the later months, although he talked to me less often than that, I almost hated him. Yet, let me be fair to him. I can remember no time when what he told me was not wiser than what would be expected from one of his years. What is that sentence? What do you mean? I don't even want to read it again. Wait, I will. I can remember no time when what he told me was not wiser than would be expected from one of his years. That's the sentence. What does it mean? I don't know. His sense of what was good or bad was sharper than my own. I might today be a better and happier man if I had more often done what he said. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you, buddy. Yep. I saw that a mile away. It was about the same period, if I remember rightly, that by chance he acted more openly than usual, and I discovered in his manner something that deeply interested me. Somehow, he brought to mind pictures of my earliest years. I remembered, it seemed, things I could not have remembered. These pictures were wild, half-lighted and not clear, but I felt that very long ago I must have known this person standing before me. This idea, however, passed as quickly as it had come. It was on the same day that I had my last meeting at the school with this other strange William Wilson. That night, when everybody was sleeping, I got out of bed and with a light in my hand, I went quietly through the house to Wilson's room. I had long been thinking of another of those plans to hurt him, with which I had until then had little success. It was my purpose now to begin to act according to this new plan. Having reached his room, I entered without a sound, leaving the light outside. I advanced a step and listened. He was asleep. I turned, took the light, and again went to the bed. I looked down upon his face. The coldness of ice filled my whole body. My knees trembled. My whole spirit was filled with horror. I moved the light nearer to his face. Was this the face of William Wilson? I saw indeed that it was, but I trembled as if with sickness, as I imagined that it was not. What was there in his face that to trouble me so? I looked, and my mind seemed to turn in circles in the rush of my thoughts. It was not like this, surely not like this, that he appeared in the daytime. The same name, the same body, the same day that we came to school. And then there was his use of my way of walking, my manner of speaking. Was it, in truth, humanly possible that what I now saw was the result, and the result only, of his continued efforts to be like me? Filled with wonder and fear, cold and trembling, I put out the light. In the quiet darkness, I went from his room, and without waiting 1 minute, I left that old school and never entered it again. Okay, that's not a part 2. I wonder if part 3 has a fucking recap again. Yeah, it does. Fuck. Why? I've never seen a story like this where it has recaps. That's hilarious. Okay, hold on. But also, I do think a majority of Edgar Allan Poe's stories were like posted on like publications. So it could be that it literally was like posted one part in one publication, like a newspaper essentially. Wait, I forgot what they're called. It's not a newspaper. And then another part was posted later, like way later, and they were separated, so a recap makes sense. But it's still throwing me off because I just never experienced it myself. You will remember that in the last part of my story, I told of my experiences in my first school. I spoke of my early meetings with a boy who looked and behaved as I did, whose name was even the same as mine, William Wilson. I told of the night where I went to Wilson's room with a plan to hurt him. What I saw that night so frightened me that I left the room and the school forever. As I stood looking down at his sleeping form and face, I might have been looking at myself in a looking glass. Okay, that's the recap. There we go. It was not like this, surely not like this, that he appeared in the daytime. Wait, it's the same thing. Okay, hold on. This really is, this is a Naruto level of recap. After some months at home, doing nothing, I went to study at the famous school called Eton? Oh no. Hold on, let me look it up. I want to see how it's pronounced. I'm curious. Oh, Ethan. What? Ethan. Okay. Edith. Okay. I'd partly forgotten my days at the other school, or at least my feelings about those days had changed. The truth, the terrible truth of what had happened, there was gone. Now I doubted what I remembered. Now I called the subject into my mind, only to smile at the strength of the strange ideas and thoughts I had once had. Okay. My life at Eden. I'm not trying to say Ethan. That's what Eden did not change this view. The fool's life into which I carelessly threw myself washed away everything that was valuable in my past. I do not wish, however, to tell here the story of my wrongdoing which went against every law of the school and escaped the watchful eyes of all the teachers. 3 years of this had passed, and I had grown much larger in body and smaller in soul. 3 years of wrongdoing had made me evil. One night, I asked a group of friends who were as evil as I to come to a secret meeting in my room. We met at a late hour. There was strong drink and there were games of cards and loud talking until the new day began appearing in the east. Warm with wine, with the game of chance, I was raising my glass to drink in honor of some especially evil idea when I heard the voice of a servant outside of the room. He said that someone had asked to speak with me in another room. I was delighted. A few steps brought me into the hall of the building. In this room, no light was hanging, but I could see the form of a young man about my own height, wearing clothes like those I myself was wearing. What? How? He didn't see you for years. What? Did he stalk? What? Okay, okay. His face I could not see. When I had entered, he came quickly up to me, and taking me by the arm, he said softly in my ear, "William Wilson." There was something in the manner of the stranger and in the trembling of his uplifted finger which made my eyes open wide, but it was not this which had so strongly touched my mind and heart. It was the sound of those two simple, well-known words, William Wilson, which had reached into my soul. Before I could think again and speak, he was gone. What? What? He just came to jump scare him. For some weeks, I thought about this happening. Who and what was this Wilson? Where did he come from? And what were his purposes? I learned that for family reasons, he had suddenly left the other school on the afternoon of the day I myself left it. But in a short time, I stopped thinking about the subject. I gave all my thought to plans for study at Oxford University. There I soon went. My mother and my father sent me enough money to live like the sons of the richest families in England. Now my nature showed itself with double force. I threw aside all honor. Among those who spent too much money, I spent more, and I added new forms of wrongdoing to the older ones, already well known at the university. And I fell still lower. Although it may not be easily believed, it is a fact that I forgot my position as a gentleman. I learned and used all the evil ways of those men who lived by playing cards. Like such skilled gamblers, I played to make money. Oh, so evil. I mean, gambling is an addiction, but interesting. I mean, you can gamble without having an addiction too, like go to casinos and stuff. I don't know. Does he seem addicted? He seems addicted to just doing anything that's not socially acceptable, at least. My friends trusted me, however. To them, I was the laughing but honorable William Wilson, who freely gave gifts to anyone and everyone, who was young and who had some strange ideas, but who never did anything really bad. For 2 years, I was successful in this way. Then a young man came to the university, a young man named Glendinning. The hell is that name? Yeah. Glendinning, who people said had quickly and easily become very rich. I soon found him of weak mind. This, of course, made it easy for me to get his money by playing cards. I played with him often. Oh shit. At first, with a gambler's usual skill, I let him take money from me. Then my plans were ready. I met him one night in the room of another friend, Mr. Preston. A group of 8 or 10 persons were there. My careful planning, I made it seem that it was a chance that started us playing cards. In fact, it was Glendinning. I hate your name. Glendinning himself who first spoke of the card game. We sat and played far into the night, and at last the others stopped playing. Glendinning. I think my soul hurts a little more every time I say his name. I hope he dies soon or leaves. I don't know. And I played by ourselves while the others watched. The game was the one I liked best. A game called... Hold on. Hold on. I'll tell you what the name's called soon. Ecarte? Okay, where was I? A game called Ecarte. Where is it? Okay, there it is. Glendinning played with a wild nervousness that I could not understand, though it was caused partly, I thought, by all the wine he had been drinking. In a short amount of time, he had lost a great amount of money to me. Now he wanted to double the amount for which he played. Bro, call it quits if you already lost that much. No. Wait. I looked up the pronunciation, but I want to see how you play it. Hold on. Card. Let's see. I'm gonna read the rules. To y'all, okay? Wow. This is a huge thing. Hold on. Wow. It's a whole article. Wait. It's an old French casino game for 2 players that is still played today. It is a trick-taking game similar to Whist, never heard of that, but with a special and eponymous discarding phase. The word écarté means discarded. Écarté was popular in the 19th century, but is now rarely played. Okay. It is described as an elegant 2-player derivative of Triumph and a classic. Okay. All cards. Sorry. I'm derailing, but I'm just curious. I never heard of this. All cards from 2 to 6 are removed from a 52 card pack. From 2 to 6. To produce the Piquet pack of 32 cards, which rank from the lowest 7, 8, 9, 10, ace, knave, queen to king high. Note that the ace ranks between the 10. I've already lost. What? I've already lost. Huh? Anyway, let's get back to it. Sounds confusing as hell. Okay. I need someone to show me. I'm a visual learner, okay? Now he wanted to double the amount for which he played. This was as I had planned, but I made it seem that I did not want to agree. At last, I said yes. In an hour, he had lost 4 times as much money as before. Fuck. For some reason, his face had become white. For some reason? What do you mean? I had thought him so rich that losing money would not trouble him. And I believed this whiteness, this paleness, was a result of drinking too much wine. Now fearing what my friends might say about me, I was about to stop the game when his broken cry and the wild look in his eyes made me understand that he had lost everything he owned. Weak of mind and made weaker by wine, he should never have been allowed to play that night. But I had not stopped him. I had used his condition to destroy him. The room was very quiet. I could feel the icy coldness in my friends. What I would have done, I cannot say, for at that moment, the wide heavy doors of the room were suddenly open. Every light in the room went out, but I had seen that a man had entered. He was about my own height, and he was wearing a very fine long coat. The darkness, however, was now complete, and we could only feel that he was standing among us. Then we heard his voice, in a soft, low, never to be forgotten voice, which I had felt deep in my bones. He said, "Gentlemen, I am here only to do my duty. You cannot know the true character of the man who has tonight taken a large amount of money from Mr. Glendinning. Please have him take off his coat and then look in it very carefully." While he was speaking, there was not another sound in the room, and as he ended, he was gone. This is so funny. He's fucking with him. Damn. Okay. Part 4. I think part 4 is the final part. The final part. The final part. Help me. The final part. Okay. Yeah. This is the end of the story of William Wilson. Let's go. Let me drink water. Clearly I need water. I need more water in my system. I really like this song. All right. Oh yeah, the fucking recap. As I ended the last part of my story, I was speaking of the terrible evening when I had played cards with a young gentleman called Glendinning. Glendinning. Oh my god. Get out of the story, Glendinning, or you're killing me. We were in the room of one of my friends at Oxford University. I had just realized that a young man, weak of mind and weakened by wine, had allowed me to win from him. Allowed me? He didn't. Whatever. You totally let him, but whatever. Everything he owned. I was still trying to decide what I should do when, as I said, then it repeats. It's very Naruto. Okay. All right. Shall I tell what I felt? Need I say that I was afraid, that I felt sick fear of those who are judged forever wrong? No, I'm gonna say what it says on the page and I'm gonna complain about it. Many hands held me. Lights were brought. My friends looked in my coat. In it, they found all the high cards, the valuable cards needed to win in the game we had been playing. Secretly using these cards, I could have taken the money of anyone who played the game with me. Mr. Preston, in whose room we were, then said, "Mr. Wilson, this is yours." He lifted from the floor a fine and warm coat and said, "We shall not look in this to prove again what we have proved already. We have seen enough. You will understand, I hope, the need for you to leave the university. At the very least, you must leave my room, and leave it now." Down in the dust, though my spirit was, I might have tried to strike him for those words if at that moment I had not noticed something very surprising. My coat had cost more money than most men could spend, and it had been made especially for me. It was different, I thought, from every other coat in the world. When, therefore, Mr. Preston gave me the coat which he had picked up from the floor, I saw with terror that my own was already hanging on my arm, and that the two were alike in every way. I remembered that the strange being who had so mysteriously entered and left the room had had a coat. No one else in the group had been wearing one. I placed the coat offered by Preston over my own and left his room. The next morning, I began a hurried journey away from Oxford University. I ran, but I could not escape. I went from city to city, and in each one Wilson appeared. Paris, Rome, Vienna, Berlin, Moscow, right? Yeah, Moscow. He followed me everywhere. Years passed. I went to the very ends of the earth. I ran in fear as if running from a terrible sickness, and still he followed. Again and again I asked myself, who is he? Where did he come from, and what is his purpose? But no answer was found. And then I looked with the greatest care at the methods of which he watched over me. I learned little. It was noticeable, indeed, that when he appeared now, it was only to stop me in those actions from which evil might result. But what right did he have to try and control me? Dude, just be a chill guy. I don't know. You don't even have to be good. Just chill. Just stop trying to do evil. I don't know what to tell you. You hate him so much. I also noticed that although he always wore the clothes the same as mine, he no longer let me see his face. Did he think I would not know of him? He destroyed my honor at Oxford. No, you did. No, you did, bro. Take accountability. I hate this protagonist so much. He stopped me in my plans for getting a high position in Rome, in my love in Naples? Not, I can't pronounce a lot of words. Naples. In what he called my desire for too much money in Egypt. Did he think I could fail to see that he was the William Wilson of my schoolboy days, the hated and feared William Wilson? But let me hurry to the last scene of my story. I thought you didn't hate him. You didn't love him, but you didn't hate him. Until now, I had not tried to strike back. He was honorable and wise. He could be everywhere. He knew everything. I felt such wonder and fear of him that I believed myself to be weak and helpless. Though it made me angry, I had done as he desired. But now I wanted more and more to escape his control. His desires were to be like a decent human being. Like, chill out. As I began to grow stronger, it seemed to me that he had begun to grow weaker. I felt a burning hope. In my deepest thoughts, I decided that I was going to be free. It was at Rome, during the Carnival of 1835, that I went to a dance in the great house of the Duke di Broglie. I'm dying. Hold on. Hold on. I'm searching it. Broglio, really? Is that how you pronounce it? Broglio. Is it Broglio? Doesn't sound right. That sounds so American. Okay. Broglio. Oh man, I've been drinking more wine than is usual. Thank God. Thank God. We're happy for that. We're happy to see it. And the room seemed very crowded and hot. I became angry as I pushed through the people. I was looking, let me not say why, I was looking for the young and the laughing, the beautiful wife of old Di Broglio. Suddenly I saw her, but as I was trying to get through the crowd to join her, I felt a hand upon my shoulder and that ever-remembered quiet voice within my ear. In a wild anger, I took him in a stronghold. Wilson was dressed as I had expected, like myself, in a rich coat of blue. Around his body was a band of red cloth, from which hung a long, sharp sword. A mask of black cloth completely covered his face. "You again!" I cried, my anger growing hotter with each word. "Always you again! You shall not hunt me like this until I die. Come with me now, or I will kill you where you stand." I pulled him after me into a small room nearby. I threw him against the wall and closed the door. I commanded him to take his sword in his hand. After a moment, he took it and stood waiting, ready to fight. The fight was short indeed. I was wild with hate and anger. Good, I hate that guy. And oh, you're talking about Walking Dead. Shut up. We're talking about Glending. Oh, I forgot. What was his full last name? Glending. Whatever. I was wild with hate and anger. In my arm, I felt the strength of 1,000 men. In a few moments, I had forced him back against a wall, and he was in my power. Quickly, wildly, I put my sword's point again and again into his heart. At that moment, I heard that someone was trying to open the door. I hurried to close it firmly and then turned back to my dying enemy. But what human words can tell the surprise, the horror which filled me at the scene I then saw. The moment in which I had turned to close the door had been long enough, it seemed, for a great change to come at the far end of the room. A large mirror, a looking glass, or so it seemed to me, now stood where it had not been before. As I walked towards it in terror, I saw my own form, all spotted with blood, its face white, advancing to meet me with a weak and uncertain step. So it appeared, I say, but was not. It was my enemy. It was Wilson, who then stood before me in the pains of death. His mask and coat lay upon the floor. In his dress and in his face there was nothing which was not my own. It was Wilson, but now it was my own voice I had heard, as he said, "I have lost. Yet from now on you are also dead. Dead to the world, dead to heaven, dead to hope. In me you lived, and in my death. See by this face, which is your own, how wholly, how completely you have killed yourself." Eh? How do you feel about that? I don't know. I feel like the ending could have been cooler, but it was funny. I hated that guy. I hated the protagonist. The other Wilson was cool. Yeah. I wish you. I don't know. There's some big sentences like I grew stronger and he grew weaker. I'm like, how? What do you mean? What is this power skill you're introducing to? What do you mean when you say that? All right. All right. All right, next is the fall of the House of Usher. That's in 3 parts. All you heard were words. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. All right. And then if we make it, there's the murders in the Rue Morgue, but that is like what, 6 parts? I don't know. Let's focus on the fall of the House of Usher because I do like this one. I do remember this one too. All right, let me drink water. All right. Part 1. It was a dark and soundless day near the end of the year, and the clouds were hanging low in the heavens. All day I had been riding on horseback through the country with little life or beauty, and in the early evening I came within the view of the House of Usher. I do not know how it was, but with my first sight of the building, a sense of heavy sadness filled my spirit. I looked at the scene before me, at the house itself, at the ground around it, at the cold stone walls of the building, at its empty eye-like windows, at a few dead trees. I looked at the scene, I say, with complete sadness of the soul, which was no healthy, earthly feeling. There was a cold, a sickening of the heart, in which I could discover nothing to lighten the weight I felt. What was it, I asked myself, what was it that was so fearful, so frightening in my view of the House of Usher? This was a question to which I could find no answer. I stopped my horse beside the building, on the edge of the dark, quiet lake. There I could see reflected in the water a clear picture of the dead trees and of the house and its empty eye-like windows. I was now going to spend several weeks in this house of sadness, this house of gloom. Its owner was named Roderick Usher. We had been friends when we were boys, but many years had passed since our last meeting. A letter from him had reached me, a wild letter which demanded that I reply by coming to see him. He wrote of an illness of the body, of the sickness of the mind, and of a desire to see me, his best and indeed his only friend. It was the manner in which all this was said, it was the heart in it, which did not allow me to say no. Although as boys we had been together, I really knew little about my friend. I knew, however, that his family, a very old one, had long been famous for its understanding of all the arts and for many quiet acts of kindness to the poor. I had learned, too, that the family had never been a large one with many branches. The name had passed always from father to son, and when people spoke of the House of Usher, they included both the family and the family's home. I again looked up from the picture of the house reflected into the lake itself. A strange idea grew in my mind, an idea so strange that I tell it only to show the force of the feelings which laid their weight on me. I really believed that around the whole house and the ground around it, the air itself was different. It was not the air of heaven. It rose from the dead, decaying trees, from the gray walls and the quiet lake. It was a sickly and unhealthy air that I could see, slow, moving, and heavy and gray. Taking off from my spirit what must have been a dream, I looked more carefully at the building itself. The most noticeable thing about it seemed to be its great age. None of the walls had fallen, yet the stones appeared to be in a condition of advanced decay. Perhaps the careful eye would have discovered the beginning of a break in the front of the building. A crack made its way from top down to the wall until it became lost in the dark waters of the lake. I rode over a short bridge to the house. A man who worked in the house, a servant, took my horse and I entered. Another servant, of quiet step, led me without a word through many dark turnings to the room of his master. Much that I met on the way I added, I do not know how, to the strangeness of which I had already spoken. While the objects around me, the dark wall coverings, the blackness of the floors, and the things brought home from long forgotten wars, while these things were like the things I had known since I was a baby, while I admitted that all this was only Edgar Allan Poe, your run-on sentences are killing me. While I admitted that all this was only what I had expected, I was still surprised at the strange ideas which grew in my mind from these simple things. The room I came into was very large and high. The windows were high and pointed at the top, and so far above the black floor that they were quite out of reach. Only a little light, red in color, made its way through the glass and served to lighten the nearer and larger objects. My eyes, however, tried and failed to see into the far high corners of the room. Dark coverings hung upon the walls. The many chairs and tables had been used for a long, long time. Books lay around the room, but could give it no sense of life. I felt sadness hanging over everything. No escape from this deep, cold gloom seemed possible. As I entered the room, Usher stood from where he had been lying, and met me with a warmth which at first I could not believe was real. A look, however, at his face told me that every word he spoke was true. We sat down, and for some moments, while he said nothing, I looked at him with a feeling of sad surprise. Surely no man had ever before changed as Roderick Usher had. Could this be the friend of my early years? It is true that his face had always been unusual. He had gray-white skin, eyes large and full of light, lips not bright in color but of a beautiful shape, a well-shaped nose, hair of great softness, a face that was not easy to forget. And now the increase in the strangeness of his face had caused so great a change that I almost did not know him. The horrible white of his skin and the strange light in his eyes surprised me and even made me afraid. His hair had been allowed to grow, and in its softness, it did not fall around his face, but seemed to lie upon the air. Well, I'm trying to picture that. What the hell? I could not, even with an effort, see in my friend the appearance of a simple human being. Not even a human being? Dang. That's harsh. In his manner, I saw at once change. That's even harsher because he's not even trying to be mean to him. He's not even trying to be mean to him. That's messed up. In his manner, I saw at once changes came and went, and I soon found that this resulted from his attempt to quiet a very great nervousness. I had indeed been prepared for something like this, partly by his letter and partly by remembering him as a boy. His actions were first too quick and then too quiet. Sometimes his voice, slow and trembling with fear, quickly changed to a strong, heavy, carefully spaced, too perfectly controlled manner. It was in this manner that he spoke of the purpose of my visit, of his desire to see me, and of the deep delight and strength he had expected me to give him. He told me what he believed to be the nature of his illness. It was, he said, a family sickness, and one from which he could not hope to grow better, but it was, he added at once, only a nervous illness, which would without doubt soon pass away. It showed itself in a number of strange feelings. Some of these, as he told me of them, interested me but were beyond my understanding, and perhaps the way in which he told me of them added to the strangeness. He suffered much from a sickly increase. in the feelings of all the senses. He could eat only the most tasteless food. All flowers smelled too strongly for his nose. His eyes were hurt by even a little light, and there were few sounds which did not fill him with horror. A certain kind of sick fear was completely his master. "I shall die," he said. "I shall die. I must die of this foul sickness. In this way, and no other way I shall be lost. I fear what will happen in the future, not for what happens, but for the result of what happens. I have indeed no fear of pain, but only fear of its result, of its terror. I feel that the time will soon arrive where I must lose my mind and my life and my soul together in some last battle with that horrible enemy, fear." That's part 1 over. Okay, part 2, let's go. I'm gonna drink water. Roderick Usher, whom I had known as a boy, was now ill and had asked... Okay. The recap. Sorry, the recap threw me off. I don't remember a recap in the House of Fall of Usher. Okay. I learned also, but slowly and through broken words with doubtful meaning, another strange fact about the condition of Usher's mind. He had certain sick fears about the house in which he lived, and he had not stepped out of it for many years. He felt that the house, with its gray walls and the quiet lake around it, had somehow, through the long years, gotten a stronghold on his spirit. He said, however, that much of the gloom which lay so heavily on him was probably caused by something more plainly to be seen, by the long-continued illness, indeed the coming death of a dearly loved sister, his only company for many years. Except for himself, she was the last member of his family on earth. "When she dies," he said with a sadness which I can never forget, "when she dies, I will be the last of the old family, the House of Usher." When he spoke, the Lady Madeline, for so she was called, passed slowly through a distant part of the room, and without seeing that I was there, went on. I looked at her with a complete and wondering surprise and with some fear, and yet I found I could not explain myself such feelings. My eyes followed her. When she came to a door and it closed behind her, my eyes turned to the face of her brother, but he had put his face in his hands, and I could see only that the thin fingers through which tears were flowing were whiter than ever before. The illness of the Lady Madeline had long been beyond the help of her doctors. She seemed to care about nothing. Slowly, her body had grown thin and weak, and often, for a short period of time, she would fall into a sleep, like the sleep of the dead. So far, she had not been forced to stay in bed, but by the evening of the day I arrived at the house, the power of her destroyer, as her brother told me that night, was too strong for her. I learned that my one sight of her would probably be the last I would have, that the lady, at least while living, would be seen by me no more. For several days following, her name was not spoken by either Usher or myself. Heyo, Sir Pearl. Heyo. Thank you for the follow. Thank you. Deepest blue as your hat is like a shark's fin. Deepest blue as your hat is like a shark's fin. Thank you, compadre. Welcome. And during their period, I was busy with efforts to lift my friend out of his sadness and gloom. We painted and read together, or listened, as if in a dream, to the wild music he played. And so, as a warmer and more loving friendship grew between us, I saw more clearly the uselessness of all attempts to bring happiness to a mind from which only darkness came, spread upon all objects in the world its never-ending gloom. I shall always remember the hours I spent with the master of the House of Usher, yet I would fail in any attempt to give any idea of the true character of the things we did together. There was a strange light over everything. The paintings, which he made me tremble. Okay, hey, Red, thank you. Okay, I'm hydrated again. Okay, thanks. All right, I'm stretching. The paintings which he made me tremble, though I know not why. To tell of them is beyond the power of written words. If ever a man painted an idea, that man was Roderick Usher. For me, at least, there came out of his pictures a sense of fear and wonder. One of these pictures may be told, although weakly in words. One of these pictures may be told, although weakly in words. Okay. It showed the inside of a room where the dead might be placed, with the low walls white and plain. It seemed to be very deep under the earth. There was no door, no window, and no light or fire burned, yet a river of light flowed through it, filling it with a horrible, ghastly brightness. I have spoken of that sickly condition of the senses, which made most music painful for Usher to hear. The notes he could listen to with pleasure were very few. It was this fact, perhaps, that made the music he played so different from most music, but the wild beauty of his playing could not be explained. The words of one of his songs, called The Haunted Palace, I easily remembered. You should have called it something more. Thank you for the head pat. I was so concentrated. Yeah, thank you. In it, I thought I saw, and for the first time, that Usher knew very well that his mind was weakening. This song told of a great house where a king lived, a palace in a green valley where all was light and color and beauty, and the air was sweet. In the palace were 2 bright windows through which people in that happy valley could hear music and could see smiling ghosts, spirits, moving around the king. Y'all! Wait. Did the flick work? I didn't see it. Let's see. Oh yeah, it did work. Fuck. No. Okay. I was just checking. No, Red! Really? No! I like this story. Damn it. Okay. Damn. This song told of a great house where a king lived, a palace. Oh, no. Okay, we read that. Palace door was of richest materials in red and white. Through it came other spirits whose only duty was to sing in their very beautiful voices about how wise their king was. But a dark change came. Song continued, and now those who entered valley see through windows in a red light shapes that moved to broken music, while through door, now colorless, a ghastly river of ghosts, laughing but no longer smiling, rushes out forever. Our talk of this song led to another strange idea in Usher's mind. He believed that plants could feel and think, and not only plants, but rocks and water as well. He believed, I feel like plants could feel and think. They have behaviorism. He believed that gray stones of his house and small plants growing on stones and decaying trees had a power over him that made him what he was. Our books which for years had fed sick man's mind, were, as might be supposed, of this same wild character. Okay, Only until the end of this second part. Only I'm not doing the whole only I just said it, fuck. I'm not doing part 3 like that. Okay. Yeah, plants are alive, and plants, like, you can overfeed them and stuff. So I would imagine they have emotions. Let's keep it that way. As might be supposed of the same wild character. Some of these books Usher sat and studied for hours. His chief delight was found in reading one very old book, written for some forgotten church, telling of watch over dead. At last one evening he told me that Lady Madeline was alive no more. He said he was going to keep her body for a time in one of many vaults inside walls of building. Worldly reason he gave for this was one which I felt I had to agree. He had decided to do this because of nature of her illness, because of strange interest and questions of her doctors, and because of great distance to the grave. To graveyard. I was doing so good so far. Hold on. Where members of his family were placed in earth. We too carried her body to its resting place. Vault in which we placed it was small and dark, and in ages past it must have seen strange and bloody scenes. It lay deep below that part of building where I myself slept. Thick door was of iron, and because of its great weight made a loud hard sound when it was opened and closed. As we placed Lady Madeline in this room of horror, I saw for the first time great likeness between brother and sister, and Usher told me then that they were twins. In my head, I'm trying. Y'all. They had been born on same day. For that reason, understanding between them had always been great, and tie that held them together very strong. We looked down at dead face one last time, and I was filled with wonder. As she lay there, the Lady Madeline, that wasn't even that hard. I could have skipped that one. Lady Madeline looked not dead, but asleep, still soft and warm, though to touch cold as stones around us. Y'all, we're at part 3. Okay, I'll ban both. I'll make it difficult for myself. Why not? I was visiting an old friend of okay. I was visiting an old friend mine, Roderick Usher. Oh no, okay, it's a recap. Oh no, wait. Yeah, I'll just read it. I was visiting an old friend of mine, Roderick Usher, in his old stone house, his palace, where a feeling death hung on air. I saw how fear was pressing on his heart and mind. Now his only sister, this is hard. Hold on. Now his only sister, Lady Madeline, had died, and we had put her body in its resting place in a room inside cold walls of palace, a damp dark vault, a fearful place. As we looked down upon her face, I saw that there was a strong likeness between two. Indeed, said Usher, we were born on same day, and tie between us has always been strong. Okay, I'm focusing. We did not look long down at her, for fear and wonder filled our hearts. There was still a little color in her face, and there seemed to be a smile on her lips. We closed heavy iron door and returned to rooms above, which were hardly less gloomy than vault. And now a change came in sickness of my friend's mind. He went from room to room with a hurried step. His face was, if possible, whiter and more ghastly than before, and light in his eyes had gone. Trembling in his voice seemed to show the greatest fear. Greatest fear. Fuck. Okay, I'm catching myself. I really do need a punishment when I say them. Okay. At times he sat looking at nothing for hours, as if listening to some sound I could not hear. I felt his condition, slowly but certainly, gaining power over me. I felt that his wild ideas were becoming fixed in my own mind. As I was going to bed late in the night of this... I get so comfortable. Will I be able to remember this story? I mean, I think overall it says it. I know the story. Oh shoot! I know this story. Fall of House of Usher, I guess I have to say right now. As I was going to bed late in night of 7th or 8th day after we placed Lady Madeline within vault, I experienced full power of such feelings. Sleep did not come while hours passed. Well, you're built different. I definitely remember stuff I read. My mind fought against nervousness. I tried to believe that much, if not all, of what I felt was due to gloomy room, to dark wall coverings, which in a rising wind moved on walls. But my efforts were useless. A trembling I could not stop filled my body, and fear without reason caught my heart. I sat up, looking into darkness of my room, listening. I do not know why, to certain low sounds which came when storm was quiet. A feeling of horror lay upon me like a heavy weight. I put on my clothes and began walking nervously around room. I had been walking for a very short time when I heard a light step coming towards my door. I knew it was Usher. In a moment I saw him at my door. As usual, very white, but there was a wild laugh in his eyes. Even so, I was glad to have his company. "And have you not seen it?" he said. He hurried to one of windows and opened it to storm. Force of entering wind nearly lifted us from our feet. It was, it's fine. It was indeed a stormy but beautiful night, and wildly strange. The heavy, low-hanging clouds which seemed to press down upon house flew from all directions against each other, always returning and never passing away in the distance. In distance. With their great thickness, they cut off all light from moon and stars, but we could see them because they were lighted from below by air itself, which we could see rising from dark lake and from stones, the house itself. Skipping 2 words is so weird. You shall not look out at this," I said to Usher as I led him from window to a seat. "This appearance which surprises you so has been seen in other places too. Perhaps lake is the cause. Let us close this window. Air is cold. Here is one of stories you like best. I will read and you shall listen, and thus we will live through this fearful night together." Old book, which I had picked up was one written by a fool for fools to read, and it was not, in truth, one that Usher liked. It was, however, the only. Okay. It was, however, only one within easy reach. He seemed to listen quietly. Then I came to a part story in which a man, a strong man full of wine, begins to break a door, and sound of dry wood as it breaks can be heard through all forest around him. Here I stopped, for it seemed to me that from some very distant part of a part house, sounds came to my ear like those of which I had been reading. It must have been this likeness that had made me notice them, for sounds themselves, with storm still increasing, were nothing to stop or interest me. I continued story and read how man, now entering through broken door, discovers a strange and terrible animal, kind so often found in these old stories. He strikes it and it falls with such a cry that he has to close his ears with his hands. Here again I stopped. There could be no doubt. This time I did hear a distant sound, very much like the cry of animal in story. I tried to control myself so that my friend would see nothing of what I felt. I was not see nothing what I felt. I got it. I was not certain that he had heard sound, although he had clearly changed in some way. He had slowly moved his chair so that I could not see him well. I did see that his lips were moving, as if he were speaking to himself. His head had dropped forward, but I knew he was not asleep, for his eyes were open and he was moving his body from side to side. I began reading again and quickly came to a part story where a heavy piece iron falls on stone floor with a ringing sound. These words had just passed my lips when I heard clearly, but from far away, a loud ringing sound, as if something of iron had indeed fallen heavily upon a stone floor, or as if an iron door had closed. I lost control of myself completely and jumped up from my chair. Usher still sat, moving a little from side to side. His eyes were turned to floor. I rushed to his chair. As I placed my hand on his shoulder, I felt that his whole body was trembling. A sickly smile touched his lips. He spoke in a low, quick, and nervous voice, as he did not know I was there. Oh man. Yes, he said. I heard it. Many minutes, many hours, many days have I heard it, but I did not dare to speak. We have put her living in the vault. Did I not say that my senses were too strong? I heard her first movement many days ago, yet I did not dare to speak. And now, that story, what sounds were hers? Oh, where shall I run? She is coming to ask why I put her there too soon. I hear her footsteps on stairs. I hear heavy beating of her heart. Here he jumped up and cried as if he were giving up his soul. I tell you, she now stands at door. Great door to which he was pointing now slowly opened. It was work of rushing wind, perhaps, but no, outside that door, a shape did stand. The tall figure. I'm messing up the. Its grave clothes. of Lady Madeline of Usher. There was blood upon her white dress, and signs of her terrible efforts to escape. And signs her terrible efforts to— y'all, what are you doing to me? To escape were upon every part her thin form. For a moment she remained trembling at door, but then, with a low cry, she fell heavily in upon her brother. In her pain, as she died at last, she carried him down with her, down to floor. He too was dead, killed by his own fear. I rushed from room. I rushed from house. I ran. Storm was around me in all its strength. As I crossed bridge, suddenly a wild light moved along ground at my feet, and I turned to see where it could have come from. For what was it? Okay. For only the great house and its darkness were behind me. Light was that the full moon. I stumbled into it. I skipped one, stumbled into it. Light was that full moon, a blood red moon, which was now shining through that break in front wall, that crack which I thought I had seen when I had first saw a place, then only a little crack. It now widened as I watched. A strong wind came rushing over me. Whole face moon appeared. I saw great walls falling apart. There was a long and stormy shouting sound, and a deep black lake closed darkly over all that remained House of Usher. Y'all killed the suspense of the story. man. Okay, should we— okay, but it ends here. Thank you, Sir Frollo. Thank you for checking out for me. I appreciate it. I'm stretching. Y'all are too much. Okay. I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna stretch my legs too. And then we can go on to, why am I taking so long? Let's see. The murders in Room Morgue is the last one left in this thing that I did. But let me stretch first. Okay. I'll be back. Hey, yo, don't make fun of me. I've only gone a short time. I only went to stretch. What is this? What is this conspiracy? Eh, black cat? No, 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 no. Bum, 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 bum. Wait, where's... Okay, okay, okay. What? Okay. Huh. There we go. Oh yeah? Oh yeah? It looks like you would. I see chat. I see chat. You're not slick. All right. This is the last one. I don't remember this one. So, or I never read it. I'm not sure. This was called The Murders in the Rue Morgue. The word bans are over. Okay. I see it, Doomy. What are you talking about? All right, part one. Paris. In Paris it was in the summer of 1840. There I first met that strange and interesting young fellow, Auguste Dupin. Dupin? Yeah, they had to work for it because it troubles me. It's not gonna be till the end of the stream. That'd be wild. They're fine. They're fine. They're fine. They're not complaining. They just like seeing me struggle. That's what they pay 2k points for. There I first met that strange and interesting young fellow, Auguste Dupin. Don't do it. Dupin was the last member of a well-known family, a family which had once been rich and famous. He himself, however, was far from rich. He cared little about money. Don't you dare. He cared little about money. Okay, he had enough to buy the most necessary things of life and a few books. He did not trouble himself about the rest. Just books. With books, he was happy. You're making me nervous. I'm just glancing. We first met when we were both trying to find the same book. As it was a book which few have ever heard of, this chance brought us together in an old bookstore. Later, we met again in the same store, then again in another bookstore. Soon we began to talk. We have got to stop meeting like this. I was deeply interested in the family history, he told me. I was surprised too at how much and wildly he had read. More important, the force of his but busy mind was like a bright light in my soul. I felt that the friendship of such a man would be for me riches without price. I therefore told him of my feelings towards him, and he agreed to come and live with me? Ayo. That's fast. Y'all just met a few times for books, and now you're living with him? He would have, I thought, the joy of using my many fine books, and I would have the pleasure of having someone with me, for I was not happy alone. We passed the days reading, writing, and talking, but Dupin was a lover of the night, and at night, often, with only the light of the stars to show us the way, we walked the streets of Paris, sometimes talking, sometimes quiet, always thinking. I soon noticed a special reasoning power he had, an unusual reasoning power. Using it gave him great pleasure. He told me once, with a soft and quiet laugh, that most men have windows over their hearts. Through these, he could see into their souls. Then he surprised me by telling what he knew about my own soul, and I found that he... I'm so nervous, Dewey! Why'd you do that? And I found that he knew things about me that I had thought only I could possibly know. His manners at these moments were cold and distant. His eyes looked empty and far away, and his voice became high and nervous. At such times, it seemed to me that I saw not just Dupin, but two Dupins, one who coldly put things together, and another who just as coldly took them apart. They both suck? That sucks. One night, we were walking down one of Paris's long and dirty streets. Both of us were busy with our own thoughts. Neither had spoken for perhaps 15 minutes. It seemed as if we had each forgotten that the other was there, at his side. I soon learned that Dupin had not forgotten me, however. Suddenly, he said, "You're right. He is a very little fellow, that's true. And he would be more successful if he acted in lighter, less serious plays." "Yes, there can be no doubt of that," I said. At first, I saw nothing strange in this. Dupin had agreed with me, with my own thoughts. This, of course, seemed to me quite natural. Heyo! Heyo! How you doing? How you doing, everyone? Welcome, welcome! Thank you, Kala, for the raid! It's the last reading, spooky reading of October. What's up, dog, with you? Hey, you rated from... Why are you saying ew? Why are you saying ew, Dewey? You're right. He is a very little... Oh, no. This, of course, seemed to me quite natural. For a few seconds, I continued walking and thinking, but suddenly I realized that Dupin had agreed with something which only I had thought. I had not spoken a single word. Daisuke, Kala, Daisuke. Daisuke forever. Yeah, eat him. Take him away, eat him. Not me, don't eat me. No, I'm not on the menu. Doomy's on the menu. Heyo, Striker, long time no see. Wow, there's a lot of you. I hope y'all had fun. Hello, Distard, Brutal. Snort the Rainbow. What an interesting name. And Shining Sion. Nice. Yeah. It's the last reading of the month, unfortunately. Yeah, but it's the principle of the thing, Doomy. I'd eat it anyways. I had not spoken a single word. I stopped walking and turned to my friend. "Dupin," I said. "Dupin, this is beyond my understanding. How could you know that I was thinking of?" Here I stopped in order to test him, to learn if he really did know my unspoken thoughts. "How did I know you were thinking of Chantilly?" "Why do you stop? You were thinking that Chantilly is too small for the plays in which he acts." That is indeed what I was thinking, but tell me, in heaven's name, the method, if method there is, by which you have been able to see into my soul in this matter. "It was the fruit seller." "Fruit seller? I know no fruit seller." "I mean the man who ran into you as we entered the street. It may have been 10 or 15 minutes ago, perhaps less." Yes, that's true. I remember now. A fruit seller carrying a large basket of apples on his head almost threw me down, but I don't understand why the fruit seller should make me think of Chantilly, or if he did, how you could know that. "I will explain. Listen closely now." Let us follow your thoughts from the fruit seller to the play actor Chantilly. Those thoughts must have gone like this. Oh, wait, okay, it's still him. "From the fruit seller to the cobblestones. From the cobblestones to Stereo Tommy." What is that? Wait. I'm looking it up. What the hell is Stereo Tommy? Or how do you pronounce it? Stereo Tommy? Is the art and science of cutting three-dimensional solids into particular shapes. And how do you pronounce it? I suck at pronouncing things. Stereotomy. Okay, that makes more sense. The stereotomy, and from stereotomy to Epicurus to Orion, and then to Chantilly. As we turned into the street, the fruit seller, walking very quickly past us, ran against you and made you step on some cobblestones, which had not been put down evenly, and I could see that the stones had hurt your foot. You spoke a few angry words to yourself and continued walking, but you kept looking down at the cobblestones in the streets, so I knew you were still thinking of stones. Then we came to a small street where... Oh yeah. Thank you. I did it again. Where they are putting down street stones which they had cut into a new and very special way. Here your face became brighter and I saw your lips move. I could not doubt that you were saying the word I just looked it up. Stereotomy? Stereotomy. The name for this new way of cutting stones. It is a strange word, isn't it? But you will remember that we read about it in the newspaper only yesterday. I thought that the word... Don't say it again! Don't make me say it again! Stereotomy must make you think of that old Greek writer named Epicurus, who wrote of something he called atoms. He believed that the world and everything in heavens above are made of these atoms. Why is he deducing so... Okay. Not long ago, you and I were talking about Epicurus and his ideas, his atoms, ideas which Epicurus wrote about more than 2,000 years ago. We were talking about how much those old ideas are like today's ideas about the earth and the stars in the sky. I felt sure that you would look up to the sky. You did look up. Now I was certain that I had been following your thoughts as they had in fact come into your own mind. I too looked up and saw that the group of stars we called Orion is very bright and clear tonight. I knew you would notice this and think about the name Orion. Bro, stop. Bro, stop. I get it. I get it. Got a little Sherlock here. Now follow my thoughts carefully. Only yesterday in the newspaper there was an article about the actor Chantilly. An article which was not friendly to Chantilly, not friendly at all. We noticed that the writer of the article had used some words taken from a book we both had read. These words were about Orion, so I knew you would put them together, the two ideas of Orion and Chantilly. I saw your smile, remembering that article, and hard words in it. Then I saw you stand straighter, as tall as you could make yourself. I was sure you were thinking of Chantilly's size, and especially his height. He is small, he is short, and so I spoke, saying that he is indeed a very little fellow, this Chantilly, and he would be more successful if he acted in lighter, less serious plays. I will not say that I was surprised. I was more than surprised. I was astonished. Dupin was right as he could be. Those were, in fact, my thoughts, my unspoken thoughts, as my mind moved from one thought to the next. But if I was astonished by this, I would soon be more than astonished. One morning, the strangely interesting man showed me once again his unusual reasoning power. We heard that an old woman had been killed by unknown persons. The killer, or the killers, had cut her head off and escaped into the night. Who was this killer, this murderer? The police had no answer. They had looked everywhere and found nothing that helped them. They did not know what to do next, and so they did nothing. But not Dupin. He knew what to do. Okay, that was the end of part one. Here's part two. Let's go, let's go. It was in Paris. Wait. Is this gonna be the recap? Okay, yeah, it's a little introduction, sure. It was in Paris in the summer of 1840 that I had met Auguste Dupin. He was an unusually interesting young man with a busy, forceful mind. This mind could, it seemed, look right through a man's body into his soul and uncover his deepest thoughts. Sometimes he seemed to be not one, but two people. One who coldly put things... Wait, is this Edgar Allan Poe's like Sherlock, little Sherlock fanfiction? What is this? Okay, let's continue. Let's just continue. Why not? One morning in the heat of the summer, Dupin showed me once again his special reasoning power. We read in the newspaper about a terrible killing. An old woman and her daughter living alone in an old house in the Rue Morgue had been killed in the middle of the night. Paris, July 7, 1840. In the early morning today, the people in the western part of the city were awakened from their sleep by cries of terror which came, it seemed, from a house in the street called the Rue Morgue. The only persons living in the house were an old woman. Another name. I'm gonna look it up. Hold on. Oh, Edgar Allan Poe, you are stumping me. Every step of the way. Elispane and her daughter. Several neighbors and a policeman ran towards the house, but by the time they reached it, The cries had stopped. When no one answered their calls, they forced the door open. As they rushed in, they heard voices, two voices. They seemed to come from above. The group hurried from room to room, but they found nothing until they reached the 4th floor. There, they had found a door that was firmly closed, locked with the key inside. This feels like one of my whodunits. I loved whodunits. I used to consume them all the time when I was younger. Quickly, they forced the door open, and they saw spread before them a bloody, sickening scene. A scene of horror. The room was in the wildest possible order. Broken chairs and tables were laying all around the room. There was only one bed, and from it, everything had been taken and thrown into the middle of the floor. There was blood everywhere, on the floor, on the bed, on the walls. A sharp knife covered with blood was lying on the floor. In front of the fireplace, there was some large gray hair, also bloody, it seemed, to have been pulled from a human head. On the floor were 4 pieces of gold, an earring, several objects made of silver, and 2 bags containing a large amount of money in gold. Clothes had been thrown around the room. A box was found under the bed covers. It was open and held only a few old letters and papers. There was no one there, or so it seemed. Above the fireplace, they found the dead body of the daughter. It had been put up into the opening where the smoke escapes to the sky. The blood was still warm. Oh, the body was still warm. My bad. There was blood on the face, and on the neck there were dark, deep marks, which seemed to have been made by strong fingers. These marks surely showed how the daughter was killed. After hunting in every part of the house without finding anything more, the group went outside. Behind the building, they found the body of the old woman. Her neck was almost cut off, and when they tried to lift her up, her head fell off. The next day, the newspapers offered to its readers these new facts. The murders in Rue Morgue, Paris, July 8, 1840. The police have talked with many people about the terrible killings in the old house on the Rue Morgue, but nothing had been learned to answer the question of who the killers were. Man, can you imagine living in a place that has the word morgue in it? Jeez. Pauline Dubourg, I don't know, a washwoman, said she had known both of the dead women for more than 3 years and had washed their clothes during that period. The old lady and her daughter seemed to love each other dearly. They always paid her well. She did not know where their money came from, she said. She never met anyone in the house. Only the 2 women lived on the 4th floor. Pierre Moru, a shopkeeper, said Mrs. L'Espagnette had brought food at his shop for nearly 4 years. She owned the house and had lived in it for more than 6 years. People said they had money. He never saw anyone enter the door except the old lady and her daughter, and the doctor 8 or 10 times perhaps. Many other persons, neighbors, said the same thing. Almost no one ever went into the house, and Mrs. L'Espagnette and her daughter were not often seen. Jules McNaud, a baker, says that Mrs. L'Espagnette had put money in his bank beginning 8 years before. 3 days before her death, she took out of the bank a large amount of money in gold. A man from the bank carried it for her to her house. Isidore Mousset, a policeman, stop with the names, you're killing me, said that he was with the group that had first entered the house. While he was going up the stairs, he heard 2 voices, one low and soft and one hard and high and very strange. The voice of someone who was certainly not French, the voice of a foreigner, Spanish perhaps. It was not a woman's voice. He could not understand what it said, but the low voice, the softer voice, said in French, "My God!" Alfonso Garcia, who is Spanish and lives on the Rue Morgue, says he entered the house but did not go up the stairs. He is nervous and he was afraid he might be ill. He heard the voices. He believes the high voice was not that of a Frenchman. Perhaps it was English, but he doesn't understand English, so he is not sure. Okay. William Byrd, another foreigner, an Englishman. Man, An Englishman says he was one of the persons who entered the house. He had lived in Paris for 2 years. He heard the voices. Very convenient they have an Englishman and a Spaniard. The low voice was that of a Frenchman. He was sure because he heard it say in French, "My God!" The high voice was very loud. He is sure that it was not the voice of an Englishman, nor the voice of a Frenchman. It seemed to be that of an Italian. It might have been a woman's voice. He does not understand Italian. Guess what happens next? Can you guess what happens next? Mr. Alberto Montani, an Italian, was passing the house at the time of the cries. He says that they lasted for about 2 minutes. They were screams, long and loud, terrible and fearful sounds. Montani, who speaks Spanish but not French, says that he also heard 2 voices. He thought both voices were French, but he could not understand any of the words spoken. Wait, Mr. Montani. Okay. It's an alien. The persons who first entered the house all agree that the door of the room where the daughter's body was found was locked on the inside. When they reached the door, everything was quiet. When they forced the door open, they saw no one. The windows were closed and firmly locked on the inside. There were no steps that someone could have gone down while they were going up. They say that the openings over the fireplace are too small for anyone to have escaped through them. It took 4 or 5 people to pull the daughter's body out of the opening of the fireplace. The careful search was made through the whole house. It was 4 or 5 minutes from the time they heard the voices to the moment they forced open the door of the room. You heard it? No way. What language was it, Doomy? Paul Dumas, a doctor, said that he was called to see the bodies soon after they were found. They were in a horrible condition, badly marked and broken. Such results could not have come from a woman's hands, only from those of a very powerful man. The daughter had been killed by strong hands around her neck. You're keeping it to yourself? That's so selfish. The police had learned nothing more than this. A killing as strange as this had never before happened in Paris. The police do not know where to begin to look for the answer. But what if one of them, like, you have the one Spaniard, the one Englishman, what if one of them just like went fucking with them? And they're like, yeah, no, oh, they were the killer. And they're like, nah, it wasn't Spanish, it was English. You know? When we had finished reading the newspaper's account of the murders, neither Dupin nor myself said anything for a while, but I could see in his eyes that cold, empty look which told me that his mind was working busily. When he asked me what I thought of all this, I could only agree with all Paris. I told him I considered it a very difficult problem, a mystery to which it was not possible to find an answer. No, no, said Dupin. No, I think you are wrong. A mystery it is, yes. But there must be an answer. Let us go to the house and see what we can see. There must be an answer. There must. Yeah. Okay, part 3. Wow, I can't believe we're ending on like a Sherlock-like story. I did not expect this. But maybe it was like horror for them at the time. I don't know. All right, part 3. Been to French. I knew what you meant. It was in Paris that I met Auguste Dupin. He was an unusually interesting young man with a busy, forceful mind. This mind could, it seemed, okay, they're doing a recap. Okay, they're really doing a recap. Sorry, I'm scrolling through the recap. No, I think you are wrong. A mystery it is, yes, but there must be an answer. We must not judge what is possible just by what we have read in the newspapers. The Paris police work hard and often get good results, but there is no real method in what they do. When something more than simple hard work is needed, when a real method is needed, the police fail. Always clowning on the police. Sometimes they stand too near the problem. Often, if a person looks at something very closely, he can see a few things more clearly.
but the shape of the whole thing must escapes him. There must be an answer, there must. Let us go to the house and see what we can see. I know the head of the police, and he will allow us to do so.
That's very convenient of you, sir.
And this will be interesting and will give us some pleasure.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so glad that the horrible deaths of a mom and her daughter brings you great pleasure to solve, mister. I thought it's strange that Dupin should believe we would get pleasure out of this, but I said nothing. It was late in the afternoon when we reached the house on the Rue Morgue. It was easily found, for there were still many persons, in fact a crowd standing there looking at it. Before going in, we walked all around it, and Dupin carefully looked at the neighboring houses as well as this one. I could not understand the reason for such great care. Yeah, he's lying. We came again to the front of the house and went in. We went up the stairs into the room where the daughter's body had been found. Both bodies were there. The police had left the room as they had found it. They left the bodies? Huh? Did they do that back then? Hold on. Let me look it up. I guess they wouldn't. I don't know. Why would you leave the bodies? You could at least. I understand that they can't investigate them, maybe, but like they could at least take them, like, for. They're decayed. Why are you leaving them? I don't even know what to look up, actually. Why am I doing this? Okay, yeah. Of course, the catacombs. Right. Right. Of course, they just left bodies. Interesting. Huh. Well, there you go. Damn. The police had left the room as they had found it. I saw nothing beyond what the newspapers had told us. Dupin looked with great care at everything, at the bodies, the walls, the fireplace, the windows. Then we went home. Dupin said nothing. I could see the cold look in his eyes, which told me that his mind was working busily, quickly. I asked no questions. Dupin said nothing until the next morning when he came into my room and asked me suddenly if I had noticed something especially strange about what we saw in the house on the Rue Morgue. I replied, nothing more than what we both read in the papers. I'm gonna snack on them. Yum. That's crazy.
Tell me, my friend, how shall we explain the horrible force, the unusual strength used in these murders, and whose were the voices that were heard? No one was found except the dead women, yet there was no way for anyone to escape. And the wild condition of the room, the bodies, which was found head down above the fireplace, the terrible broken appearance of the body of the old lady with its head cut off. These are all so far away from what might be expected that the police are standing still. They don't know where to begin. These things are unusual indeed, but they are not deep mysteries. We should not ask what has happened, but what has happened that has never happened before. In fact, the very things that the police... it's still him. They cannot possibly be explained are the things which will lead me to the answer. Indeed, I believe they have already led me to the answer.
I was so surprised. I could not say a word. Dupin looked quickly at the door.
I am now waiting for a person who will know something about these murders, these wild killings. I do not think he did them himself, but I think he will know the killer. I hope I am right about this. If I am, then I expect to find the whole answer today. I expect that the man here in this room at any moment. It is true that he may not come, but he probably will.
How do you live like this? But who is this person? How did you find him?
I'll tell you. While we wait for this man, we do not know. For I have never met him. While we wait, I will tell you my thoughts, how my thoughts went if we get to talk.
But it did not seem that he was trying to explain to me what he had thought. It seemed that he was talking to himself. He looked not at me, but at the wall. he got a stand. That's what it tells me.
It has been fully proven that the voices heard by the neighbors were not the voices of the women who were killed. Someone else was in the room. It was therefore certain that the old woman did not first kill her daughter and then kill herself.
No one thought that. No one thought that, bro.
She would not have been strong enough.
Okay.
She would not have been strong enough to put her daughter's body where it was found. And the manner of the old lady's death showed that she could not have caused it herself.
Yeah, we know.
A person can kill himself with a knife, yes, but he surely cannot cut his own head almost off, then drop the knife on the floor and jump out the window. It was a murder, then, done by some third person, or persons, and the voice heard were the voices of these persons. Let us now think carefully about the things people said about those voices. Did you notice anything especially strange in what was told about them?
Well, yes. Everybody agreed that the low voice was the voice of a Frenchman, but they could not agree about that high voice.
That was what they said, yes.
It was a Rube Goldberg.
But that was not what was so strange about what they said. You say you have noticed nothing that makes their stories very different from what might have been expected. Yet there was something. All these persons, as you say, agreed about the low voice, but not about the high, hard voice. The strange thing here is that when an Italian, an Englishman, a Spaniard, and a Frenchman tried to tell what the voice sounded like, each one said it sounded like the voice of a foreigner. How strangely unusual that voice really must have been. Here are four men from four big countries, and not one of them could understand what the voice said. Each one gave it a different name. Now I know that there are other countries in the world. You will say that perhaps it was the voice of someone from one of those other lands, Russia perhaps. But remember, not one of these people had heard anything that sounded like a separate word.
Here Dupin turned and looked into my eyes.
So his little detective skill of, oh, the mom didn't kill the daughter, like no shit. This is what we have learned from the newspapers. I don't know what I have led you to think, but I believe that this much of the story, there are enough facts to lead us into the one and only direction to the right answer. What this answer is, I will not say, not yet.
Tell us.
But I want you to keep in mind that this much was enough to tell me what I must look for when we are in the house on the Rue Morgue. And I found it.
Okay, part 4. There, we're halfway. Oh man. Murderers had come to the old house on the street of the Rue Morgue. I want that man to come and prove me right that he came first. I want to show off a little. Murderers have come and gone and left behind the dead bodies of an old woman and her daughter. The daughter's body was in the bedroom on the 4th floor. The old woman was lying outside behind the house, her head almost cut off, but the knife which killed her was up in the bedroom on the floor. The door and the window were all firmly closed, locked on the inside. There was no way for anyone to go in or out. Voices had been heard. One voice was speaking in French. The other voice had not spoken even one word that anyone could understand. But there was no one in the room when the police arrived. This much we had learned from the newspapers. My friend Dupin and I, interested by it, but we had gone to look at the house and the bodies. Dupin was now explaining to me what he had learned there.
Let us now take ourselves again into our first thoughts, to the room where the murders were done. What shall we first look for? The way the murderers escaped. All right. We agree, I am sure, that we do not have to look for anything outside of the nature, for anything not having a real form, a body. The killers were not spirits, they were real.
How do you know? How do you know? They might be. Because they were talking about, they were like, oh, where did the mom and the daughter get the money? They don't know where they got money from. Maybe they made a pact with the demon. That'd be cool.
They could not go through walls. Then how did they escape? There is only one way to reason on that subject, and it must lead us to the answer. Let us look one at a time at a possible ways to escape. It is clear that the killers were in the room when the daughter was found. From this room, they must have escaped. How?
I did not expect this, but I'm sticking through it. I want to know the answer. I'm curious. The whodunit spirit in me is so curious.
At first, I saw no way out. It had been necessary for the neighbors to break down the door in order to enter the room. There was no other door. The opening above the fireplace is not big enough near the top for even a small animal. The murderers, therefore, must have escaped through one of the windows. This may not seem possible. We must provide that it is possible. There are two windows in the room. Both of them, you will remember, are made of two parts. To open the window, one must lift up the bottom half. One of these
I want a graph. Am I winning? I don't know. I wanted more of a horror story to end the day, but I like whodunit, so I'm not mad. Not clearly, because I'm still reading. But I want a graph because I'm more of a visual learner.
One of these windows is easily seen. The lower part of the other is out of sight behind a big bed. I looked carefully at the first of these windows. It was firmly closed, fastened. Fastened? Yeah, fastened.
No! The main character's flabbergasted.
Like the door on the inside. To keep the window closed, to fasten it, someone had to put a strong iron nail into the wood at the side of the window in such a way that the window could not be raised. At least it seemed that the nail had held the window closed. The nail was easy to see. There it was. And the people who discovered the killings used their great strength and could not raise the window. I too tried to raise the window and could not. I went to the second window and looked behind the bed to the lower half of the window. There was a nail here too, which held the window closed. Without moving the bed, I tried to open this window also, and again I could not do so.
Bro, just tell us, Stop.
I did not stop looking for an answer, however, because I knew that what did not seem possible must be proved to be possible. The killers, or perhaps I should say the killer, for I am almost certain there's only one.
You're the one that said killers! Why are you going back? You're the one that said killers.
The killer escaped through one of these windows. Of this I felt certain. After the murderers had left the bedroom, he could have closed the window from the outside, but he could not have fastened it again on the inside. Yet anyone could see the nails which held the windows tight. Yeah, we get it. There was the fact that had stopped the police. How could the murderer put the nail back into its place? Perhaps if he pulled out the nail. Yes, that is what I thought. Two things seemed clear. First, there had been something wrong with the idea that the nails were holding the windows closed. I did not know what was wrong. Something was. Second, if it was not the nails that were closing the windows closed, which were holding the windows closed, then something else was holding them closed. Something hard to see. Something hidden.
Wait! This actually does sound familiar. Did I read this before?
I went back to the first window. With great effort, I pulled out the nail. Then again, I tried to raise the window. It was still firmly closed. This did not surprise me. There was, in fact, a hidden lock. I thought inside the window. I felt the window carefully with my fingers. Indeed, I found a button which, when I pressed it, opened an inner lock. With almost no effort, I raised the window. Now I knew that the killer could close the window from outside.
If I say window one more time,
and the window would lock itself. But there was still the nail. Carefully, I put the nail back into the hole from which I had taken it. Then I had pressed the button and tried to raise the window. I could not. The nail also was holding the window closed. Then the murderer could not have possibly gone out the window.
For real.
He could not have gone out that window. Therefore, he must have escaped through the other window. The other window was also... dying, held closed by a nail. But I knew I must be right. Although no one else had looked carefully at the window behind the bed, I went to it and tried to see whether the two windows were in some way different. Don't ban it though. I feel like if you ban it, that's when I'm gonna stop saying it and he's gonna move on. The nail in the second window looked the same as the one. Yeah, we get it. I moved the bed so I could look closely. Yes, there was a button here, sure. I was so sure I was right that without touching the nail, I pressed the button and tried to raise the window. Up it went. Man. As the window went up, it carried with it the top part of the nail, the head. When I closed the window, the head of the nail was again in its place. It looked just as it looked before. I took the head of the nail in my fingers and it easily came away from the window. I saw that the nail had been broken, but when I put the nail head back in its place, the nail again looked whole. Okay, you found it out, sir. Congrats. You are you're so bragging. What seemed to be not... He's like telling this story to his friend, all excited, while the cops are trying to find who murdered these poor ladies. And then he's gonna do this. I bet he's gonna do this whole show for the cops too, for his head detective buddy. What seemed to be not possible, we had proved to be possible. The murderer indeed escaped through that window. I could now see in my mind what had happened. It was a hot summer night. When the murderer first arrived, he found the window open to let some fresh night air come in. Through the open window, the murderer went in and came out again. And as he came out, he closed the window, perhaps with a purpose to do so, perhaps by chance. The special lock inside the window held the window firmly closed. Oh man. The nail only seemed to be holding it closed. And then, which was possible, looked not possible. We're stuck in window hell, help me. Dupin had been talking, not to me it seemed, but to himself. His cold eyes seemed to see only what was in his own mind. Now he stopped and looked straight at me. His eyes were now hard and bright, as I understood, and I understood that using his unusual reasoning power to find the answer to those bloody murders was giving Dupin great pleasure. At first, I could only think of this. Then I said, Dupin, the windows are on the 4th floor, far above the ground. Even an open window. Yes, that's an interesting question. Now, how did the murder go from the window to the ground? But I gotta read it because we gotta find out how it happened. This is hell. Once I was quite certain that the murderer had in fact gone through the window, the rest was not so hard to know. And the answer to this question told me still more about who the murderer was. When you and I first came to the house on Rue Morgue, we walked around the house. At that time, I noted a long, thin metal pole which went from the top of the building to the ground, a lightning rod put there to carry down to the ground a charge of electricity that might come out of the clouds during a bad summer storm. Here, I thought, is a way for someone to go up or down a wall and then go in or out the window. He would have to be very strong. Although certain animals could have easily go up to the pole, not every man could do it. Only a man with very special strength and a special training. This told me more about who the murderer was like, but I still had the question, who? Y'all will not believe the image I'm seeing. Wait, should I share it? Should I share it? Hold on. Should I share it? This is okay, part 5. This better not be the answer. This better not be the answer. I'm gonna be so mad. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Wait. My fucking face. My fucking... Oh my god. If this is it. If this is it. If this is it. I'm ending stream before we get to the ending if this is it.
Okay. I'll keep it up. Okay. I'll keep going. That unusual Frenchman, Auguste Dupin, was still explaining to me how he found the answer to the question of who murdered the two women in the house on the Rue Morgue. We now knew that it was indeed possible for the killer to go in and again. Ain't no way that people, that poor grown-ass men, would mistaken a monkey, an orangutan. I don't know. That looks like an orangutan. Like, it sounds like human speech. Like, that's so stupid. Okay. Wait, we now knew that it was indeed possible for the killer to go in and again out one of the windows and still leave them both firmly closed, locked on the inside. And I agreed with Dupin when he said that only someone with very special strength and training could have gone up the lightning rod on the side of the house and thus entered the window. But who the murderer was, we still do not know.
Let us look again, said Dupin, at that room on the 4th floor. Let us now go back in our minds to the room we saw yesterday. Consider its appearance. Clothes had been thrown around the room, yet it seemed that none had been taken. The old woman and her daughter almost never left the house. They had little use for many clothes. Those that were found in the room were as good as any they had. If the killer took some, why didn't he take the best, or take all? And why would he take a few clothes and leave all the money? Nearly the whole amount brought from the bank was found in bags on the floor.
Because he's a fucking orangutan. I don't know. You tell me.
I want you, therefore, to forget the idea in the minds of the police. The idea that a desire for money was what they called the motive, the reason for the murders. This idea rose in their minds when they heard how the money was brought to the house 3 days before the killings. But this is only what we can call a coincidence. Two things happening at the same time, but only by chance, and not because of some cause that brought them together. Coincidence happens to all of us every day in our lives. If the gold was the reason for the murders, the killer must have been quite a fool to forget it and leave it there. No, I do not think the desire for money was the reason of the killings. I think that there was no reason for these killings, except perhaps fear.
The killer is the orangutan.
Now let us look at the murderers themselves. The murders themselves. A girl is killed by a powerful hand of...
I really think it's the orangutan. No way. No fucking way. Stop.
No murders we usually hear about are like this. There is something here that does not fit our ideas of human actions, even when we think of men of the most terrible kind. Think also of the great strength which was necessary to put a body where it was found. The strength of several men was needed to pull it down.
I think it is.
There are other signs of this fearful strength.
I'm glad we stuck through this because this was an insane fucking twist. I'm mad at it, but it's funny, you know?
In front of the fireplace, some gray human hair was laying, thick pieces of it, pulled from the head of the old woman.
Also, how did the orangutan learn how to cut?
I would love that. I would love that.
That would actually save the story if that happens. Let's see. Maybe.
You saw the hair on the floor yourself, and you saw the blood with the skin on it. You know, and I know, that great force is necessary to pull out even 20 or 30 hairs at one time. A much greater force was needed to pull out hundreds of hair at one time. Also, the head of the old lady was cut almost completely from the body. Why? To kill a woman with a knife, it is not necessary to cut her head off.
That's what I want to know. How did the orangutan cut the head?
If now, added to all these things, we add also the condition of the room.
You know, now he's actually moving along. It feels fine, but the window part was so fucking long for no reason to explain something that was very simple. I'm losing my mind.
If now added to all these things, we add also the condition of the room, we have put together the following ideas: strength more than human, wildness less than human, a murder without reason, horror beyond human understanding, and a voice which made no sound that men could understand. What result, then, have you come to? What have I helped you to see?
What horrors? What horrors? What? Ooh, spooky. What? What? I flipped him too hard. I flipped him too hard. Yeah. You're funny, Striker. A cold feeling went up and down my back as Dupin asked me the question. A man, someone who has lost his mind, I said. A madman, a madman. Only a madman could have done those murders.
I think not. In some ways your idea is a good one, but madmen are from one country or another. Their cries may be terrible, but they are made of words, and some of the words can be understood.
In what world? In what world do these poor men think that that orangutan is speaking in a human language? Oh yeah, that sounds like Italian to me. Oh yeah.
Here, look. Look at this hair. I took it from the fingers of the old woman. The hair of a madman is not like this. Tell me, what do you think this is?
Dupin, this hair is not human hair.
I did not say that it is.
But it was a French orangutan.
But before we decide this matter, look at the picture I have made here on this piece of paper. It is a picture of the marks on the daughter's neck. The doctor said these marks were made by fingers. Let me spread the paper on the table before us. Try to put your fingers all at the same time on the picture so that your hand and the fingers will fit on the picture to the picture of the marks on the daughter's neck.
I cannot.
No, but perhaps we are not doing it the right way. This paper is spread out on the table. The human neck is round. Here is a piece of wood about as big as a daughter's neck.
Why do you have a piece of wood about as big as a daughter's neck? That is so specific.
Put the paper around it and try again. Go on. Try.
I tried to put my fingers around the piece of wood as if it were the girl's neck, but still my hand was not large enough to equal the marks left by the killer. Dupin, these marks were made by no human hand.
No, they were not. I am almost certain that they were made by the hands of an orangutan. One of those man-like animals that live in the wild forests. The great size, the strength, the wildness of these animals are well known. Now, look into this book by Covier. Read, look at the picture. Should I end stream right now? Should I end stream right now? I'm so fucking pissed. I'm so fucking pissed.
Oh my god, I hate this story. I did so, and at once I knew that Dupin was right in everything he said. The color of the hair, the size of the hand, the terrible strength, the wildness of the killings, those sounds which were voiced but were not words, everything fit nicely to its place. No, not everything. Dupin, I said. There were two voices. Whose was the second voice? It was the second orangutan.
Second voice, yes. Remember, we decided that only someone with a very special kind of strength could have gone up the lightning rod, up the side of the house, to the window on the 4th floor. Perhaps an animal, perhaps a strong man from a circus, perhaps a sailor. We know now that one of the voices was the voice of an animal, an orangutan. The other was the voice of a man. This voice spoke only 2 words. They were "My God," spoken in French. I love how Edgar Allan Poe throws all these French names at me, but can't write "My God" in French. Like, what is stopping him? Upon those 2 words, I have placed my hopes of finding a full answer to this horrible question. The words were an expression of horror. This means that the Frenchman knew about these murders. It is possible, indeed it is probable, that a Frenchman himself did not help the orangutan kill. Perhaps the animal escaped from him, and he followed it to the house on the Rue Morgue. He could not have caught it again. It must still be free somewhere in Paris. Someone get the orangutan! Mon Dieu! Oh my god, it's still free! It's still loose! Someone get him! It's gonna kill more! I will not continue with these guesses, for I cannot call them more than that. If I am right, and if the Frenchman did not himself help with the killings, I expect him to come here. Read this. I paid to have this put in the newspaper. I looked the newspaper and read the following. Caught. Early in the morning of the 7th of this month, a very large orangutan. The owner, who is known to be a sailor, may have the animal again if he can prove it is his. Oh man. Hey, Ozzy. But Dupin, how could you know that the man is a sailor? I do not know it. I am not sure of it. I think the man is a sailor. A sailor could go up to that pole on the side of the house. Sailors travel to strange, faraway places where such things as orangutans can be got, if I am right. Think for a moment. The sailor will say to himself, the animal is valuable, why shouldn't I go and get it? The police do not know the animal killed 2 women, and clearly somebody knows I am in Paris. If I do not go to get the animal, they will ask why. I don't want anyone to start asking questions about the animal, so I will go and get the orangutan and keep it where no one will see it, until this trouble has passed. This, I believe, is how the sailor will think. But listen. I can hear a man's step on the stairs. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I've died. Dupin had left the front door of the house open, and the visitor entered without using the bell. He came several steps up the stairs, then stopped. We heard him go down again. Dupin was moving towards the door when we again heard the stranger come up. He did not turn back a second time, but came straight to the door of our room. In a strong, warm, friendly voice, Dupin said, "Come in, my friend, come in." Slowly, the door opened and in came a sailor. All right, final part. Oh, stupid story. My friend Dupin was now certain that the murders in the Rue Morgue had been done by a wild animal of the jungle, the man-like animal known as an orangutan. An orangutan. The animal had escaped from its owner, he thought, and the owner was probably a sailor. He had put a notice on the newspaper that the man who owned the orangutan can have it again if he came to our house to get it. Now, as the owner came to our door, we were both wondering if the man would, as Dupin guessed, be a sailor. Yes, the man who entered was indeed a sailor. He was a large man and strong. He carried a big, heavy piece of wood, but no gun. He said to us in French, "Good evening." Ah! Okay. But it's the word. It's not the letter. It's the word, okay? So it's only when it's a word. Okay. It's only one word. My bad. Damn. All right. I'm opening. I said but that sounded like a word. Okay.
I'm opening water bottle. Hold on. I need a drink. I need drink. No, not the letter. What? Why can't I open this water bottle? Help! Someone come help me. Why is it so tight? I'm thirsty. Okay. Fine. I can do it. Mine too.
Sit down, my friend. I suppose you have come to ask about the orangutan. Very fine animal. I have no doubt that it is very valuable animal. How old do you think it may be? I have no
I don't know. Yo, I'm tired of this story. I'm just gonna not. I don't know.
I have no way of guessing how old it is, but it can't be more than 4 or 5 years old. Have you got it here? No. We have no place for it here. You can get it in the morning. Of course, you can prove it is yours. Yes, I can. I wish I could keep it. I would like to have it. Of course, I will pay you for finding and keeping the animal. Anything within reason. Well, that is very fair indeed. Let me think. What shall I ask for? Oh, I know. Let this be my pay. Tell me everything you know about the murders in Rue Morgue.
Okay, I'm gonna try to keep opening the water while I read, and I'll tell you when it's open. As quietly as he had spoken, Dupin walked to the door, locked it, and put the key in his coat. At the same time, he took a gun out of his coat and placed it on the table. I reflexively am looking at the word "the" because Red usually bans that word. The sailor's face had become red. He jumped to his feet and reached for a stick of wood. But stick of wood is nothing compared to a gun. But in the next moment, he fell back into his chair, trembling. His face became quite white, bloodless. He spoke not word. His eyes were closed. Red!
My friend, you must not be afraid. We are not going to hurt you. I know very well that you yourself are not killer, but it is true that you know something about him, or about it. From what I have already said, you must know that I have ways of learning about matter, ways you could never have dreamed of.
I hope not.
Now, I know that you yourself have done nothing wrong. You didn't even take any of money. You have no reason to be afraid to talk and to tell truth. It is matter of honor for you to tell all you know, and you know who killer is.
I doubt it's gonna show up again. What? Okay. What? Okay.
So help me God. I'll tell you all I know about this. All I know, but I don't expect you to believe one half of what I say. Not one half. Still, I didn't kill anyone. And I'll tell whole story if I die for it. It was that animal, that animal orangutan. About a year ago, our ship sailed to far east to island of Borneo. I had never before seen Borneo. Forest jungle was thick with trees and other plants, and hot and wet and dark. But we went, a friend and I. We went to that forest for pleasure. There we saw this orangutan, big animal, but we were two and we caught it. We took it with us. I have to think about it on ship. Soon, however, my friend died and animal was mine, but it was very strong and caused a lot of trouble. Oh, please end soon, please end soon. What is this hell? In end, I brought it back to Paris with me. I kept it in my house, in my own house, carefully locked up, so neighbors could not know about it. Animal had cut one foot badly while on ship. I thought that as soon as it got well, I would sell it. I was certain it was of great value, and it was so much trouble to keep. I wanted to sell it soon. What a dumbass. Wild animals are so much upkeep. They are so much upkeep. Night of murders, very late. I came home and found animal in my bedroom. It had got free. I don't know how. Because it's strong! What do you mean you don't know how? It held a knife in its hands. Oh, I lost where it was. And was played with it. I was afraid. I didn't know what to do. When it saw me, it jumped up, ran out of room and downstairs. There it found an open window and jumped into street. I followed, never far behind, although I had no hope of catching it again. Animal, with knife still in its hands, stopped often to look back at me. No way! Why? No, it knew what it was doing. What do you mean it looked back at you? But before I could come near enough to even try to catch it, animal always started to run again. It seemed to be playing with me. It was nearly morning, but streets were still dark and quiet. We passed back of house in Rue Morgue. Animal looked up and saw light in open. There you go, Dewey. There you go. Congrats. Of room high above. It was only lighted in sight. Animal saw metal pole, went up it easily and quickly, and jumped into room. All this didn't take a minute. Twice. It did it twice. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what I could do. I followed animal. I too went up pole. As I am sailor, it was easy for me. But open, oh, it happened again, was far from pole. And I was afraid to try to jump. I could see into room, however, through other window. What? Fuck, I said it. Through other, which was closed. Oh man, oh man. Two women were sitting there with their backs to... It keeps popping up. What the hell? No, it popped up again. Oh my god. It's because it has it so many times. Who can guess why they were not sleeping at that hour of the night? It's their house. What do you mean? They didn't need to sleep. It's your fucking orangutan that ruined everything. Box was in middle of floor. The papers which had been in box were lying around on floor. Women seem to be studying some of these. They did not see Animal, which was just standing there watching, knife still in one hand. But old woman heard it. Oh man, oh man. Oh, this is so... Okay, but old woman heard it and turned her head and saw Animal there, knife in hand, and then I heard first of those terrible cries. When Animal heard old woman's cry, it caught her by hair and slowly moved the knife before her face. Daughter, filled with terror, fell to floor and remained there without moving, her eyes closed. The old I'm fucking up now. Old woman continued to cry for help, screaming with fear. I think Animal now was as afraid as old woman was. Then why did he cut through her neck? Red! Yeah. I don't know how it cut through her neck. Yeah, they are. Yeah. Thanks, I guess. Thank you. They are... monkeys in general are pretty terrifying, but however, I'm thinking of it cutting through the neck. Through neck, my bad. And when woman covered with blood tried... Wait. With terrible force, it pulled out a handful of hair. And okay, my normal voice is coming because this is... I need to lock in. And when woman covered with blood tried to run from it, caught her again by hair, and with one move of its arms, it nearly cut her head from her body. Throwing down body, Animal turned and saw that daughter was moving, watching it with horror. Oh, I said Animal, fuck. Okay, with fire in its eyes, it rushed to girl, put its powerful fingers around her neck, and pressed them firmly there until she died. When girl stopped moving, dropped her body to floor and looked up, it saw my face in oh my god. Okay, it began to run around room quickly without purpose. It jumped up and down, breaking chairs, pulling bed to pieces. Suddenly it stopped and took body of daughter, and as... Okay, this is believable. This is fucked up and believable. As if to hide it with terrible strength, it put body up above fireplace where it was found. So, like a guilty dog giving you those eyes when it does something it's not supposed to. It threw old woman out window. Oh shit, I said it. Fuck, I said it again. I did not know this story had so much of the W word. All this time, I was hanging from pole, filled with horror. It seemed I had lost power to move. But when I saw the... No, that was a word. Oh, shit. When I saw coming towards when I saw coming towards with old woman's body, my horror became fear. I went quickly down. I almost fell down pole and I ran. I didn't look back. I ran. Oh my god. My god.
Chief of police was not happy that answer to mystery of killings has been found by someone who was not policeman. He said that people should keep to their own business. I thought he was your buddy.
Let him talk, said Dupin. Let him talk. He'll feel better for it. And he's a good fellow.
He's good fellow. Shit.
But he makes things less simple than they really are. Still, people call him skillful and even wise. I think they say this because of the way he explains, carefully, fully, something which is not here or there or anywhere, and says not possible about something which is there before his eyes.
All right. The bans are over. The bans are lifted, okay? It's done. It's done. That fucking... There you go. There you go. You guys are nuts. Okay, that was challenging. Thank you. Oh man, that was a mess. Well, there we go. We know who the killer is. It is. Thank you. Thank you. I can definitely see monkeys. I mean, primates. Yeah, primates, right? Are thank you. Primates are very, very dangerous, especially when they lose control like that. But I don't know, something about the circumstances of everything just made it feel so fucking silly. Especially, I still don't get how he just whoop, almost cut through her neck. That's crazy. Or how he had a knife in the first place and was just like playing around with it. Like he had kind of human instincts. Okay, nice. Anyway. Damn. 4 minutes to midnight. Damn. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining. This was a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. I've had all that just for... Listen, I tried my hardest. Okay. That was hard. Okay. Anyway, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for the stream. That was a lot of fun. I hope you guys had fun with it too. It was fun. Wait. Maybe okay. Let me read Annabelle Lee at least. It's kind of gothic, because this was very Sherlock-esque. Annabelle Lee is just a very short poem. There we go. Whorehouse. Let's end with Annabelle Lee at least, because ending with this silly story is killing me. All right. It's a fucking poem. It was many and many a year ago in a kingdom by the sea that a maiden there lived by whom you may know by the name of Annabelle Lee. And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child and she was a child in this kingdom by the sea, but we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabelle Lee. With a love that... I'm not doing the bands! I already went through it! That the winged seraphs of heavens coveted her and me. And this was the reason that long ago, in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabelle Lee, so that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me, to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, this was the reason, as all men know, in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing my Annabelle Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we, and neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabelle Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabelle Lee. And the stars never rise, but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabelle Lee. And so, all the night tide, I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the sounding sea. Okay, there. We're ending with that. We're not ending with the orangutan murder, okay? Anyway, like I was saying, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you a lot. It has been really fun to read along this whole month. I like sharing stories, and they were all pretty long. Straight. I mean, I guess I usually stream for 3 hours, so it's about that same time. But yeah. What murder? What do you mean? She just died. I guess. What? I didn't know I was wearing a double hat. She got chilled because people envied their love. Yeah. Tomorrow, I think I'm gonna be doing some spooky watch-alongs. I think I'm curious to check out Milk and Cereal, which is a full movie on YouTube. So we might check that out. Who knows? Yeah. That's it for tonight. Thank you for joining me. Y'all take care, not except Doomy. I almost said don't take it. I meant Doomy. It's not night for you. Good morning for you. Anyway, bye. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for listening. I love reading stories. I love it. Bye. Thanks a lot. No, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean it that way. Bye. Have a nice day. Have a nice day, Dewey. You better have a nice day. Thank you. Thanks.